Picture an absolute unit of a gamer, the undisputed rank 1, pure unfiltered domination. The community practically worshipped this guy as a literal god right up until the second he vanished without a single trait. Fast forward 18 months. A brand new virtual reality masterpiece drops, totally hijacking the entire planet. And what's the very first prompt flashing right in front of his eyes? Do you want to log? Same legendary dude, entirely new universe. But guess what? Raw talent doesn't just get wiped. Our guy isn't merely returning to the scene. He's about to blitz the global leaderboards from absolute zero flexing. Let's rewind to Deus Ex Machina Ragnarok, or Demrock for the OG players. The literal microsecond this title dropped, it absolutely shattered charts, immediately snatching the #1 spot globally. A monumental titan boasting over 100 million active users at its peak. But time is cruel, hype slowly fades, and now the massive servers are on life support, gearing up for a final permanent blackout. Deep in the virtual wilderness, a handful of hardcore veterans huddle around a crackling campfire. Suddenly, the global system voice echoes out. Greetings, this is Deus Ex Machina Ragnarok. All servers will permanently terminate in exactly 30 minutes. Kaiser, the absolute top dog of Demrock, just quietly stares into the flickering flames. Right next to him sits Purple Dust, the server's rank 5. He pulls his knees tight to his chest and mutters, "This trash game." Honestly, it's his signature. But is it really over? Swordmaster, chilling at rank 4, crosses his arms and slowly nods in total agreement. Sure, the drop rates were a complete joke, and the RNG was incredibly toxic, but his brain still can't process that they're finally pulling the plug. That's when Cuckoo Dakuku, the server's rank 3, throws her hand up. Bro, you literally slay a massive dragon, and it drops a useless brick. Honestly, how did this garbage fire? Swordmaster immediately glares at her, his brows completely knitted together. Seriously? Did you really have to completely nuke the— She fires back. Am I capping though? He scoffs, clapping back that he thought her goofy mask was her only tragic feature. But clearly her toxic mouth is just as embarrassing. Instantly triggered, she shrieks at the top of her lungs. You want to catch these hands right now? She balls her fists tight, pivoting violently toward him. He just keeps his arms stubbornly crossed, totally unfazed, muttering, "That spewing absolute garbage is the only thing she's actually good at." Cutting through the chaos, Kaiser, our main guy, slowly gets to his feet. Still, it really hits you right in the feels, doesn't it? Purple Dust chimes in. Yeah, bro. You grinded and min-maxed this game harder than literally anyone alive. Makes total sense why you'd be heartbroken. Whenever I watched you pop off in a boss raid, it seriously felt like witnessing peak gaming. Then Cuckoo Da Cuckoo wildly throws her arms out, declaring, God perfectly balances the meta though. His mechanics are insane, but his luck is absolute dog water. Purple Dust smirks, adding, honestly wild that the literal #1 player has 0 legendary skills equipped. If the RNG gods had blessed him even a tiny bit, he would be so far out of our league, we wouldn't even breathe the same pixelated air. Cuckoo Da Cuckoo jumps back in. Remember when the blacksmith shattered his gear 10 straight times? The dude absolutely lost it, screaming that the entire universe was out to ruin him. You guys seriously missed out on a top-tier meltdown. Purple Dust chuckles. Loki, when you really look at him, he's the biggest menace here. Swordmaster gazes deeply into the dying embers and quietly murmurs, yeah? Out of every single gamer I've ever met, his drop rates are incredibly cursed. Suddenly, the booming system voice interrupts one final time. Server termination is imminent. Thank you for riding with us until the bitter end. Avatars slowly start dissolving into glowing pixels. Purple Dust waves. GG guys, it's been real. Swordmaster sighs. Well, I guess this is the final curtain call. Cuckoo. Da Cuckoo shouts out, catch you nerds in a game that actually, one by one, they fade into the digital void, leaving our protagonist standing completely alone, staring intensely into the burn. A split second later, he shatters into light. Demrock goes dark forever. Fast forward 2 whole years. We catch up with our main guy chilling in the back of a city bus. Right next to him, a group of high schoolers are glued to their phones, intensely geeking out over a stream. Bro, his micro is actually insane. Look at this. He literally solo clapped a demon lord without dropping a sweat. Out of all the high-tier rankers, Exterminator from the Executioner Guild is straight up the GOAT, the first kid argues. Guilds are hype, but I'm a hardcore simp for the Empress. She rolls solo total lone wolf energy, and it's iconic. There is literally no one on the server right now who can even touch her stats. Wait, really? What about that one guy? You know, the undisputed king from the Demrock era. The literal god of the rankings. Kaiser? Oh, shoot, Kaiser. You're right, but dude ghosted the entire internet the second the servers died. Nobody has a clue if he even games anymore. Right at that exact second, sitting barely 2 feet away, our guy simply tilts his baseball cap down to hide a massive knowing smirk. It's been 24 months since Demrock pulled the plug. Today the crown belongs to Demrock's spiritual successor, the absolute juggernaut known as God of Save, better known as Ghosts. It boasts a mind-blowing player base, crazy new races, insane skill trees, and a massively expanded universe of pure unrestricted freedom. Our boy gazes out the window, totally pumped. Ghosts is practically begging to be conquered. The true final boss of the gaming world has officially entered the chat. His real name, Kong Do-hyun, better known to freshly discharged from his mandatory military service as a sergeant, he bursts through the front door of his family's apartment like a hurricane. He violently rips off his shoes and immediately screams out, "The VR capsule! Where did you guys put the capsule?" His sister jumps completely stunned. "Wait, bro, you're officially back." Meanwhile, his mom, clutching a saucepan in the kitchen, immediately goes on the offensive. You literally just walked out of the barracks, and the very first thing you hunt down is a gaming pod. Unbelievable, when you were a toddler, at least you bothered to yell out for your mother first. Ignoring the friendly fire, our protagonist yanks his bedroom door wide open, while his mom's voice trails off in the background. Seriously, why do people even say raising kids? Stepping into the room, our boy drops his heavy backpack. His eyes lock onto the sleek gaming pod, completely starstruck. This wasn't just a fantasy anymore. It was the exact high-end VR rig he'd been drooling over on his timeline. He practically hugs the machine mind racing. 18 grueling months of mandatory military service, all to scrape together the cash for this exact moment. He traces the smooth, futuristic curves, sliding into the driver's seat with a massive grin. He mutters, "Okay, so it's pre-owned, but damn, these cushions feel like clouds." He yanks the visor down over his face. "All right, let's dive in." Instantly blinding neon lights flood his vision. A robotic system voice echoes in his ears. Scanning retinas, identity locked, neural sync at 100%, welcome to Adventurer's Paradise. Initiating character creation. Sunlight suddenly washes over him as he stares into a massive digital mirror floating nearby. He eyes his reflection critically. "Bro, is this really my avatar? I look way too much like a literal grunt right now." Rubbing the back of his neck, he scrolls through the endless grid of crazy hairstyles hovering in the air. "Yeah, no, way too much effort," he groans, slapping the randomize button. Next up, the classic username prompt. He rubs his chin thinking, "A tag, huh?" A wicked smirk crosses his face. "Call me Kaiser." The interface flashes green avatar finalized. "Pleasure to have you, Kaiser." In a flash, he spawns straight into the tutorial zone right next to a massive burning fortress. A glowing pop-up alerts him. He's just been dropped right into the legendary blood-soaked siege of Arland Castle. Kaiser takes in the blazing heat and roaring chaos. "Yo, the graphics on this full-dive tech are absolutely insane." The game throws up a holographic armory right in front of him. Time to pick a starter weapon. Scanning the rack, he shrugs. It's mostly basic low-tier trash. He decides to stick to his old reliable. Snatching a standard steel blade from the void, he smirks. He's been a pure sword main since his sweaty days in Demrock anyway. "Yo, you!" someone screams over the roaring flames. Kaiser whips around just as Charlie, an armored knight captain, sprints up to him. The NPC glares at him, completely panicked. "Why are you just standing there?" He yanks Kaiser's arm hard. "Move your ass! Let's go!" Charlie bolts toward the wreckage, screaming, "The rest of the guild is already clashing." Kaiser immediately chases after him, completely pumped. "Hell yeah, let's go!" A blue notification chimes in, party formed with Knight Captain Charlie. The duo bursts through the ruined gates, skidding to a dead halt inside a blood-splattered hallway lined with fallen soldiers. Grinding his teeth in rage, Charlie scans the carnage. Those scumbags actually joined forces with the beasts. If the leaks are real, they struck a dark pact with that absolute abomination. He spins around, eyes wide with terror. "If we don't speedrun this and shut them down, that boss is wiping this entire server." Charlie cracks open a heavy oak door, throwing Kaiser an intense, "Hurry up! This shortcut skips the main line," he barks. They silently slip into the dark chamber. Thwack, thwack, poisoned arrows suddenly slam into the stone right next to their boots. Charlie snaps his head up. They are totally cornered by a mob of club-wielding monsters. "They camped the spawn," the captain curses. "I'll tank them, you." But Charlie's jaw drops. Kaiser is already sprinting straight into the meat grinder. A hulking brute lunges swinging a massive spiked bat, but Kaiser isn't scared. His eyes are practically glowing with pure adrenaline. "Watch out, kid!" Charlie screams. But Kaiser fluidly sidesteps, making the monster swing at empty air. The beast blinks totally confused. Before it can even react, our boy quick draws his blade and slices cleanly through its chest in a lightning-fast dash. Without losing a single frame of momentum, he rockets toward the next target, brutally shoulder-checking it into the dirt. The surviving mob just stares absolutely stunned. A third creature desperately swings its mace right at his face, but Kaiser flawlessly pivots on his heel. He counters with a devastating knee strike straight to its jaw, launching the monster backward. The final two enemies panic, desperately cranking their heavy crossbows. Too slow. Kaiser flashes the gap, sweeping his sword in a brutal arc that instantly executes both archers. He casually flicks the blood off his blade. "Damn," he thinks, staring at his glowing weapon. "I was low-key worried my mechanics were rusty, but honestly, his reaction time feels even sharper than his pre-military days." He bounces on his toes, feeling weightless, as a completely shell-shocked Charlie walks up. "Good lord. You wiped a 5-man gank squad entirely solo." A golden pop-up flashes. Knight Captain Charlie is absolutely blown away by your mechanics. Knight Captain Charlie's favorability has increased. Kaiser tilts his head. "Favorability, huh?" He remembers a similar rep system back in Demrock. But to gain trust off a single skirmish, the NPCs in this game are definitely way easier to impress. A warm smile spreads across the knight's face. In his head, Charlie is freaking out. This random merc is insanely OP. Could he actually be the legendary savior the prophecies predicted? Right on cue, another holographic window chimes in front of Kaiser's face. Knight Captain Charlie is deeply moved by your flawless combat. Favorability is continuously rising. System alert, Knight. Captain Charlie's affection gauge just maxed out. This dude is totally ride or die now. Seriously, our boy could commit actual treason. And Charlie would swear he was framed. Wait, snagging a max affection title straight out of the gate. That's insane. The title Maximum Affection from the start drops at a rare rank. It literally states it's exclusively awarded to cracked players who max out an NPC's bond. Right during the freaking tutorial, the perk affection levels up way faster, plus a solid +2 boost across all stats. Smirking at the pop-up, our protagonist figured this night was actually going to be insanely clutch. Charlie flashed a grateful smile, hyping up how our hero made this entire raid a total breeze. Pointing a heavy gauntlet toward the ominous double doors, he declared, "Just waste that warlock hiding inside, and this whole war is ours." But suddenly crackling surges of raw, chaotic energy ripped across the stone chamber, shattering the massive pillars. Catching the destruction, Charlie panicked. Holy crap, did the summoning ritual already kick off? In a flash, grotesque bat-like freaks started swarming out from the cracked walls. Charlie spun around, yelling that he'd hold the line against the horde, and begged our boy to rush in and shut down the summoner. A golden holy aura erupted around the knight's armor. Gripping his broadsword tightly, he promised to hold them back. Locking eyes with our protagonist, he prayed that the sacred blessing of Arland Castle would guide the hero's blade. With a thunderous battle cry, Charlie charged straight into the swarm. Watching him pop off, MC hesitated. "Wait, do I just walk in? In all the speedrun strats?" Charlie always kicked the door down first. The forums hyped up how choices tweaked the storyline. But could the butterfly effect really be this wild? Stepping up to the heavy gates, a chilling system prompt flashed. "Warning, only a single challenger may enter. If the player gets wiped out, the binding seal shatters instantly, clearing all debuffs. From the boss. Proceed anyway." Wait, a hidden system trigger, hiding in the freaking tutorial. This was undeniably a secret Easter egg. Hidden mechanics are sneaky little triggers devs bury in the code, popping up only when you pull off crazy specific actions to unlock insane loot. The prompt blinked. "Are you absolutely sure you want to enter?" Smirking, he thought. "No way I'm passing up a super rare event." He smashed yes. Kicking the doors wide, a shady alchemist, wrapped in a dark cloak, was freaking out, screeching, "What the hell is going wrong? I summoned you. Bow to my command," but towering right behind the madman was an absolute unit of a nightmare, its jagged fangs dripping with fresh gore. The system scanned it. Captured iron-blooded demon dragon. Rank legendary, danger level unknown, class dragon, stats currently locked down. An abyssal beast holding the terrifying moniker of Iron Blood. Right now, brutal chains are sealing its devastating powers, heavily nerfing its mobility. MC stared at the absolute behemoth, totally stunned. Legendary, wow. They totally ripped off Demrock's tier list. Common, rare, heroic, and legendary. This game heavily leaned on that exact ranking system. Those tiers even applied to raid bosses. But the most busted of them all were the unique named terrors. And right in front of him stood the chained iron-blooded demon dragon. This was definitely a named nightmare. The colossal beast sucked in a massive breath, unleashing a deafening, earth-shattering roar. Brutal shockwaves blasted outward, rattling the protagonist's bones. The system flared, exposed to the roar of a captive iron-blooded demon dragon. The terrifying presence of the apex predator nerfs physical stats. Movement speed tanked by 20%. Attack speed slashed by 20%. Defense drops by 30%. Magic resistance nerfed by 25%. Flinching, our boy threw his arm up to block the intense pressure, scowling as he thought, are the devs actually trolling me? This debuff is straight up toxic. Still, with all of its god-tier skills chained up, he might just squeeze out a win. But if that massive claw even clipped him, he'd be sent straight to the respawn screen. Whatever. This exact brutal scenario played out in Demrock all the time, leaving him only one real play. Channeling pure adrenaline into his muscles, he slowly slid his blade from its scabbard. It was basically do or die, go big or go home. Without hesitating, he vaulted to the side, perfectly dodging the dragon's crushing stomp. Sprinting straight into the danger zone, he wildly slashed at the monster's scaly claw. The beast roared in agony, before MC spun on his heels, burying his sword deep for a brutal follow-up strike. He seamlessly slid backward, putting distance between them. Squinting at the boss's massive health bar, he mentally calculated 120, a measly 120 damage for a double combo. The gaming forums weren't capping. The difficulty scaling here was absolute garbage. No wonder the chat kept arguing if it was even mathematically possible to melt a tutorial boss. Are you insane? It's literally hard-coded to be unkillable. Devs just put it there to humble players. Undeterred, MC delivered another lightning-fast slash to the dragon's thick limb. Comments kept flooding his mind. Iron Wing Demon Dragon, or whatever that freak is, seriously gives me the creeps. It was pure nightmare fuel. Ignoring the dread, our protagonist kept swinging, while the forum debates echoed in his head. Wait, is the tutorial boss truly invincible? I mean, damage numbers are literally popping up. Bro, you can't. Not even the top-ranked exterminator could pull it off. Brushing off the doubt, MC lunged forward, ripping another vicious jagged gash across the beast's scales. The chat was absolutely losing their minds, spamming that the damage had to be some crazy realistic visual effect. Like, no way this dude actually had the gut. Everyone just froze, glued to their screens, waiting for him to bite the dust. The beast lunged forward, swiping its massive claws, but our guy flawlessly parried the strike with his blade, completely blocking the hit. The viewers were absolutely stunned. Wait, what is happening? Did the boss's name just glitch out? The Iron Wing Demon Dragon. Are you kidding me, right? The tag actually flipped. Is that even a thing? Has to be a bug, right? But Gauss does not have bugs. The whole system is run by a super advanced AI that is literally 10 times smarter than top-tier tech. So, what on earth is going down? Did some random player actually slay this thing? Bro, be for... How does a level 1 newbie absolutely obliterate a boss that even the legendary exterminator could not scratch? Just who is this absolute madman? Right then, our boy drove his massive weapon deep into the beast's chest. The monster let out a blood-curdling screech before crashing hard into the dirt. A blinding system alert popped up, confirming he had actually slaughtered the captive Iron Wing Demon Dragon. He just became the first player in history to execute a legendary named boss right in the tutorial zone. He soloed a literal legend. The epic achievement was instantly carved into his adventure log, unlocking a massive reward. Meanwhile, our hero, gasping for air, white-knuckled the hilt and thought, man, that thing was built like a tank, wiping the sweat from his face. He yanked his blade free from the massive carcass with a grin. Wait, if I am the world's first, that means even those absolute tryhards failed to beat this guy. His mind flashed back to Cuckoo. To Cuckoo, aggressively pointing her finger and raging, yo, the devs are totally brain dead. What kind of garbage balancing is this? He also pictured Purple Dust, arms crossed, scoffing with an arrogant laugh. This game is complete trash. Screw this. Back in reality, our boy smirked. Wonder how those losers are doing now. Suddenly, a golden notification chimed in. He just unlocked the god tier title, First Assassin. A tsunami of playstyle-based stats started unlocking. Boom Weapon Master awakened. Boom Hidden Dragon awakened. The Assassin trait unlocked, Hero unlocked. The Overcoming stat totally awakened. Secret conditions met. The ultra-rare unique stat Eye of Truth has been unleashed. He stared at the glowing blue panels, in absolute shock. What the actual hell? Why am I getting showered in loot? You are only supposed to score one stat in the tutorial. You see, stats are the ultimate power system in Gauss. They span a crazy spectrum, from basic tracking and navigation to hardcore combat-focused buffs like Swordmaster. Depending on how insane your achievements are, these traits scale up to godlike tiers. Our guy narrowed his eyes at the glowing holographic screen and thought, holy crap, an across-the-board boost. I get the Swordmaster perk applied to literally any weapon I hold. Radar detection, total debuff immunity, and even a unique tier stat. Weapon Master Hero Assassin. These are all top-tier buffs, but they are not exactly one of a kind. Sure, collecting all of them is unheard of, but by themselves, they are pretty standard. But the Eye of Truth, that is a unique rank. Literally the only one in existence. I hit the absolute motherload 1 unique and 5 regular stats. The floating text broke it down. First Assassin Legendary rank. Description. An exclusive title awarded to the pioneer who crushes a legendary named boss. Effect Fury pumps out 10% more damage. Predator wiping a boss on the first attempt buffs all core stats by +6. Just a heads up, the Predator boost will not stack on identical bosses you have already wrecked. All my base numbers just skyrocketed by +10. And I am currently rocking a +6 bonus from Predator. He realized, absolutely hyped. Plus, this title is unbelievably busted. It is absolutely glorious, like something out of a myth. To think a total underdog like me scored a jackpot like this. Right, then a heavy thud caught his attention, as the massive double doors slowly groaned open. Charlie peeked through the gap, muttered something under his breath, and stepped out. He marched right into the carnage, reaching a trembling hand out. I swear I heard the beast roaring just a second ago, he stammered. Wait, did you just slaughter that thing? Our guy mumbled a super awkward response, leaving the knight totally baffled. You do not even have a single scratch on you. Just who in the world are you? He tried to explain himself, but Charlie threw a hand up, interrupting him. No, your origins mean absolutely nothing to me. Legends always forge themselves in the fires of despair. Pressing a fist over his heart, he passionately declared, your arrival in this broken world is the spark of hope that will change our destiny forever. I, Charlie, would bet my life on it. Hitting one knee, he bowed deeply. O great hero, please allow this unworthy knight to become your eternal sword. Instantly the game chimed in. Charlie, commander of the Arland Castle Vanguard, begs to pledge his absolute loyalty to you. By accepting, Charlie will strip himself of his commander title to serve as a sworn vassal of the Kaiser. All his royal perks and authority will transfer directly to his master. Reading this, our boy knitted his brows in sheer confusion. Wait, what? However, a flashing red warning followed. Since this NPC has been dead for centuries, 0 perks or authorities can actually be transferred, even if you become his liege. He sighed, realizing the tutorial just generated a historical flashback, so the whole oath thing was purely a cinematic formality. He gave a slow, deliberate nod. So be it. A glowing system prompt confirmed the pact. He had officially accepted Charlie's dying oath. In the fading memories of Knight Captain Charlie, he would forever reign as his absolute master. The blood-soaked massacre famously recorded as the Arland Castle tragedy. Given a worthy send-off, he believed Charlie would finally find rest, looking toward their shared future. He honestly thought peace was possible. Suddenly, a digital chime echoed. The system announced his immediate warp to the Pantheon as crackling energy violently surged through the air. Our guy spun around, his eyes locking onto a swirling neon portal tearing right through the fabric of space. Where do we go now? Charlie called out. He shifted his gaze, genuinely pondering their next move. A faint smirk crossed his face. To wherever needs us. The whole world is a literal dumpster fire right now, Charlie echoed with unwavering loyalty. The system's robotic voice boomed. Teleportation engaged. Destination Pantheon. T-5, 4. Charlie suddenly extended a weathered pendant. My lord, please take this. The countdown marched on. 3, 2. He snatched the cold metal, raising an eyebrow. What is this? A notification flashed. Item acquired. Charlie's spectral form began to radiate a blinding light. With a warm smile, he whispered, Thank you, sir. The system roared. This was the ultimate crossroads. Pick a deity lock in your destiny. May divine grace guide you. He scanned the majestic floating ruins, soaking it all in. So, this is the legendary Pantheon. But let's be real. Forget the fancy Pantheon title. Players in GOS knew this hellhole as the ultimate gacha simulator, a brutal lottery that shattered dreams and drained tears. This is where the divine draft happens. You pledge loyalty to a single god, and boom, that choice completely hardlocks your combat class. In the ruthless world of GOS, everything screams hierarchy, and these supreme beings have their own strict pecking order. You've got the lore gods, the hero gods, and the absolute heavyweights, the myth gods. Lore gods scrape together their divinity purely through campfire tales and ancient whispers. Hero gods, they were once overpowered mortals who grinded their way to godhood and crashed the Pantheon party. But the myth gods, they birthed entire mythologies. We're talking absolute units like Zeus from Greco-Roman legends, or the All-Father himself, Odin. Obviously, the deeper you dive into that roster, the more broken their stats become. The system chimed in, revealing that every floating card pulsed with the unique essence of a It was time to pull. He had to pick his divine patron. He stared at the endless sea of glowing system screens. So many options. But knowing his trash tier luck, he figured he shouldn't get greedy. Suddenly, a massive jolt of surprise hit him. Out of the corner of his eye, a blinding radiance pierced through the crowd of cards. Why the hell was that one radiating? A harsh alert echoed in his mind. The Eye of Truth has been activated. Wait, seeing through the hidden layers? He gasped. This wasn't just a buff. It was a straight-up cheat code. If this actually worked, he could literally rig any gacha system and snipe the top-tier loot every single time. Flashbacks hit him hard. He recalled Cuckoo da Cuckoo screaming, "Dude, why is your luck so cursed?" She pitied him while Swordmaster bluntly stated he had insane skills but absolutely zero luck. He had always laughed it off, but deep down, the absolute unfairness stung like hell. But now, with this god-tier vision, he was about to bulldoze his way straight back to rank 1. A euphoric sigh escaped his lips. Pressing a hand against his racing heart, he made the obvious call. "Duh, I'm taking the gold one." He gripped the blazing card and the system roared. "You have drawn a myth god, the one-armed sword. God. Tier. Confirmed divine pact." A wicked grin plastered across his face. A literal myth god. But right as he celebrated, violent red error screens shattered his joy. Warning, Apostle Vessel incomplete. You cannot become the Apostle of Tier. Please re-roll immediately. His jaw dropped. Wait, what the hell do you mean I can't become an apostle? The system pinged again. Tier is currently extremely confused by this glitch. The vessel wasn't formed. Our MC panicked. In all his years of gaming, he had never seen a bug this cursed. Hold up. A vessel. The standard progression was simple. Get utterly stomped by a dragon demon. Trigger a cutscene where a gorgeous goddess bails you out and she blesses you with a revelation. But he actually slaughtered the boss, skipping the god. Don't tell me, because I skipped the cutscene, I never got the divine buff. His status window brutally materialized in mid-air player Kaiser. Level 1, Class Adventurer. Titles 2, Maximum Affection, from the very beginning, and the first killer. No way. The apostle slot in my class column is completely empty. He clenched his fists. Screw this game. What the hell am I supposed to do now? This god tier card was literally a dead draw. Every single time he tried to pull, he crashed to his knees, utterly defeated. Do you know how long I grinded for this moment? How do I fix this? Burying his face in his hands, absolute dread washed over him. If he wiped his account to re-roll, he'd be hit with an agonizing 60-day cooldown penalty. His eyes snapped forward, completely stunned. A blinding ruby-colored card hovered in the air. Wait, red, he muttered, reaching out to grab it. What the heck? A red teardrop that literally didn't exist in the meta. The system chimed, locking in a hidden pull. Cassiar, the forgotten last adventurer. The adventurer's vessel is primed, the voice echoed, crowning him Cassiar's apostle. He smirked. All right, let's go. Boom, secret content unlocked. The interface flashed, locking in his new class, Last Adventurer, instantly dumping a fresh set of broken skills into his loadout. The lore dropped heavy, class Last Adventurer. Back in the day, humans weren't just NPCs. They were the absolute bosses of Avatar Tell. We're talking top-tier alphas packing enough firepower to straight up humble the gods. Until everything crashed overnight. Humanity got totally wiped, leaving him as the sole surviving trailblazer. Pure adrenaline surged through his veins as a massive holographic screen popped up. It showcased a totally cracked passive true adventure. Since they basically owned Avatar Tell, their potential to pop off was literally limitless. The perk 0 class lockouts. He could spam literally any ability in the game. Hold up no class restrictions? His mind raced. He had VIP act. He could cherry-pick the most OP moves and craft the ultimate game-breaking build. Plus, heavily carried by his Eye of Truth, snatching those god-tier abilities was practically guaranteed. Stack that with the Weapon Master stat, and he'd be an unkillable raid boss with 0 blind spots. The system binged class transition complete. Initiating warp sequence to Avatar Tell. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time to grind back to rank 1, he smirked. In a flash of pixels, he spawned right into the heart of Avatar Tell. The tutorial zone was popping off. Noobs were yapping everywhere, turning the spawn plaza into absolute chaos. But hey, no point mauling over it. Everyone was grinding their combat specs. Suddenly, guild scouts pushed through the crowd. On paper, they were here to draft fresh talent. But real talk. The players treated them like annoying spam pop-ups. One scout face-palmed hard, groaning that they desperately needed to bag at least one recruit this month, or their guild leader would toxic flame them to oblivion. His partner awkwardly looked away. Nudging him, the partner pointed at our boy. Check out that dude. The first scout scoffed. Bro, looks like a walking disaster. Total NPC vibes. Let's bounce. Scrubs like him are basically dead weight. Just then, a golden interface flashed right in front of our main character. It unveiled a massive drop, the necklace of blood and oaths, forged from the vital essence of Arland's knight, Captain Charlie. This bad boy was strictly soulbound to its owner, no trading allowed. Rarity heroic. Level cap non-existent. Affinity locked to Master Charlie. And the passive buffs. Straight up scaling defense and magic resist that buffed as he farmed summer XP. A heroic teardrop right off the bat, he gasped. These stats are actually cracked. This is way too good to be true. Suddenly a quest prompt hijacked his screen. Goblin cleanup. Sweeping goblins basic, he mused as he read the brief. Rank normal. The gist, Dante, a veteran Arland hunter, wanted him to touch grass and slice up 40 goblins. Current progress 0 out of 40. The payout 80 silver coins plus a fat chunk of XP. The cat, he had exactly 24 hours to clear it. All around the plaza, other newbies were staring blankly at their own glowing screens. A mob hunt. Let's go, huge W, someone hyped up. Right on cue, Hunter Dante swaggered up a nearby hill. Throwing his arms wide, the NPC bellowed that he was banking on this fresh meat to get the job done. Their mission, wiping out the pesky goblin infestation. The zone instantly turned into a wild-looking-for-group chat. Need players for a squad? One dude hollered. Another guy aggressively chimed in. Who's down to speedrun the skinning quest? The first guy cut back in screaming for a beefy tank, a high damage carry, and a pocket healer to no-life grind straight to level 12. Our guy just stood there scanning the sweaty tryhards. Looks like solo queuing is off the menu, he figured. Right then a player named Shield Best slid up to him. Yo, hear me out. We're hard pushing to level 12. Want to party up? Before he could answer, another player named Forehead here squeezed into the huddle. We get massive co-op buffs if we stack together, he pitched. Yu Bingkun flashed a chill smile, ready to roll with the squad. A party setup. Honestly, it wasn't cat mob farming was way less toxic with backups. Plus, missing out on that sweet bonus XP was just throwing. Nodding, he locked it in. Alright, bet, I'm down. The interface pinged Shield Best's squad officially formed. A full lobby of level 1 rookies ready to grind. Shield Best suddenly eyed our guy's gear. Hold up. Are you a Kaiser fanboy? Yue Bingkun blinked, totally lost. Kaiser? Who the heck is that Forehead here? Chimed in. Bro, he was the literal #1 ranked player back in the Demrock era. You're out here giving Major Kaiser Stan energy. Forehead here totally hyped him up, bragging that he even named his own avatar after the guy. Our MC, just awkwardly rubbing the back of his neck, dodging the spotlight. Shield Best threw his hand up. Alright squad, we pushing out or what? Catching the vibe. Forehead here pushed for a fast-track grind straight to level 12. Yubing-kun hoisted her glowing scepter high. Charge! She screamed. Our boy just nodded, having their backs. Minutes into the grind, a system ping flashed. Shield Best locked a nasty crowd control spell onto a feral green goblin. Without missing a beat, he slammed his heavy shield straight. A bright system alert popped. Target stunned for 1 second. Shield Best whipped around, screaming, "He's dazed! Nuke him now!" Forehead here drew his bowstring tight, letting an arrow rip. Eat this right in the dome. Yubing-kun channeled her mana, blasting a blinding magic arrow into the fray. The system pinged that Green Goblin was absolute toast, but the remaining 2 goblins shrieked, their eyes glowing with rage as they rushed the tank. They hammered against Shield Best, but he braced his massive shield, eating the hits. Forehead, herein Yubin-kun panicked, screaming his name. "Melt them already," the tank hollered back, veins popping, but the archer yelled back, "Hold on." "My skills are on cooldown," Yubin-kun cried out. Just as the tension peaked, our MC blasted off the dirt like a rocket. Closing the gap in a blink, he sliced through one of the screaming goblins. A kill notification lit up the screen. The party could only stand there, jaws on the floor. He didn't even pause. Kaiser launched himself back into the bloodbath, instantly shredding a second beast and then a third. Absolute carnage. Forehead here pumped his fist in the air. "Kaiser, you absolute legend," Yubin-kun squealed. "He's literally the GOAT." Meanwhile, our MC just coolly sheathed his bloody blade. Shield Best jogged over, a massive grin on his face. "Bro, that was insane, you're cracked. If we keep this up, this dungeon is a total joke." But his smile vanished instantly, replaced by pure terror. "Kaiser, watch your 6. The MC slowly turned. Looming in the shadows was an absolute sea of green goblins. The tank's voice cracked. "We can't wipe this fallback run." Instead of retreating, Kaiser lunged straight into the overwhelming swarm, ignoring the tank's terrified screams. He launched himself into the air, raining down a devastating combo that eviscerated multiple targets. Flashback to a little while ago, Purple Tast had questioned his toxic habit of picking fights. "Why do you always dive in when the odds are absolute trash? Are you just flexing?" Dealing with one cuckoo da cuckoo was exhausting enough. Kaiser just tilted his head. "Trash odds? What are you talking about?" Purple Tast sighed. "Dude, your HP was basically 0, and out of nowhere, a literal boss drops in. And you instantly rushed it. Isn't that totally unhinged?" Kaiser just shrugged. "Yeah, but I buried the guy, didn't I?" Purple Tast blinked, completely stunned. "I mean, facts, but you're risking a permadeath." Snapping back to the present, Kaiser scoffed inwardly, unhinged. He was literally just defending himself. Sure, he could totally sit back. Tearing into an army was risking it all. Yet without missing a heartbeat, our boy dashed forward, his mind racing. He never threw away his life for nothing. He just knew he was going to win. A split second later, his blade connected with a sickening crunch. He ripped through the mob like a blender. Huge red numbers popped overhead. Critical hit. Another goblin bit the dust, dropping a shiny green goblin pelt right into his inventory. While the loot auto-sorted, his eyes darted across the battlefield. Just one squishy poison goblin remained. He was currently kiting a massive wave of aggroed monsters. Pivoting on a dime, he blitzed straight toward the enemy backline. Rule number 1 of group PvP, always delete the ranged attackers first. He tore through the dirt, hacking down any unlucky fodder that dared to block his path. A golden alert flashed across his vision. Unique rank effect, overcoming indomitable spirit, pushes past all limits. Characteristic successfully triggered. Kaiser casually swatted away an incoming arrow, leaving the goblin sniper totally shook. Before the monster could even blink, our MC was already in its face. He carved a brutal slash right across its chest. A second beast tried to blindside him, but Kaiser smoothly parried the heavy strike with his blade. Retaliating instantly, he unleashed an earth-shattering heavy attack. The system went wild with notifications. Hidden passive-activated Weapon Master effect. All weapon combined with his adventurer trait, he suddenly gained access to the rogue's bread-and-butter skill, Vulnerable Strike. He smirked. "Oh, that's broken." He twirled his blade with pure swagger, then brutally buried the steel straight into the monster's skull. System log updated, Vulnerable Strike executed. The precision attack dealt massive catastrophic critical damage. From his blind spot, another rabid goblin lunged, but Kaiser, he countered it flawlessly. Tossing a heavy club to the side, the system pinged again. The Weapon Master trait had just shattered another class restriction. His Adventurer stat instantly granted him the Bruiser class skill swing. Armed to the teeth, he rocketed forward once more. He jammed his dagger straight under a goblin's jaw, leaving it lodged in the bone. Snatching the club back up, he channeled all his raw momentum into a devastating home run. The interface flashed, swing skills successfully landed. Alerts spammed his feed. Blunt Weapon Mastery, leveling up, reaching level 2, Dagger Mastery, leveling up. Dagger Mastery had officially hit level 2, and right on cue, Sword Mastery started to skyrocket. Sword Mastery locked in at level 3. Kaiser stood over the mountain of corpses, admiring his glowing stats. "Okay, That's actually pretty dope. He figured bypassing the skill limits was already a massive flex, but instantly spamming them, that completely blew his expectations out of the water. Meanwhile, Shield Best stared at him absolutely flabbergasted. Bro, how is that even physically possible, he wondered. A veteran squad would have sweated bullets clearing out a goblin horde like that, yet this absolute madman just soloed the entire mob. His mind raced. Kaiser, wait, is he the legendary Kaiser from the Demrock era? Nah, that's wild. That god-tier ranker vanished into thin air 2 years ago. No shot he randomly joined their rookie squad. Then who the heck is this guy? Catching our boy's goofy grin, Shield Best internally panicked. Did he completely snap? Snapping back to reality, our MC eyed the fading blue embers. Looks like weapons that don't drop as loot just vaporize into thin air, he noted. Whatever. He shattered the weapon limits and took his new skills for a test drive, so he was hyped anyway. Status window, he scanned his glowing stats. 3 level ups from a single raid. Insane. Even though he could wield anything now, the sword remained his bread and butter. Strength bumped to 9, agility at 8. He decided to dump the leftover points into perception, letting his shiny new title and the Charlie necklace carry the rest. He confidently crossed his arms. Suddenly, Forehead, here completely lost his chill, screaming, "Yo, Kaiser, you're an absolute beast!" The dude was totally starstruck. Yue Bing-kun flashed a massive thumbs up, cheering, "Kaiser, you're the GOAT." Still suspicious, Shield Best whispered, "Guys, hear me out. Could he actually be the Kaiser?" Forehead here immediately shot it down. Why would he randomly make a comeback now? But Shield Best doubled down. I mean, did you see him fight? It is literally the only explanation that makes sense. Okay, true, he totally gives off major Kaiser vibes. They agreed, hyping him up even more. The energy was absolutely electric. Honestly, if he claimed to be the real deal, right then, they would have bought it in a heartbeat. Our protagonist just flashed an awkward smile, rubbing the back of his neck. Almost silently sweating because he actually was the Kaiser. Breaking the silence, Forehead here gasped, "Wait, Mr. Kaiser, did you secretly unbox some mythic tier? Your damage output is literally broken." Chuckling nervously, our boy brushed it off, blaming it entirely on a lucky stat build. "Oh, and maybe a cracked title helped a bit," he added casually. Shield Best's jaw dropped. "Wait, you already unlocked a title? Bro is on the fast track to becoming a ranker." Forehead here predicted. Yue Bing-kun chimed in. Catching his breath, Shield Best rallied the crew. "All right, HP is full. Let's get back to the grind." Pumping his fist in the air, Forehead here roared, "Hell yeah, let's pull an aggro a 10 at once this time." Smirking, our MC nodded. "Bet. Let's run it." Forehead turned and yelled, "Yo, Shield, Best keep up. We literally have the Kaiser hard carrying us." "Lead the way," Yue Bing-kun cheered. But amidst the hype, our hero suddenly flashed back to Purple Task's warning from earlier. They had to move fast, but rushing in blind was a death sentence. In his memory, Cuckoo da Cuckoo sassily planted her hands on her hips, scoffing. "Kaiser will just carry us anyway since he is a big-shot ranker." The Swordmaster immediately fired back. Excuse you, we are literally rankers too." Then total chaos erupted. "What kind of fake ranker are you? Oh, you want to throw hands?" Snapping back to the present, our guy could not help but wonder if his old chaotic squad was doing all right. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt shattered his thoughts. Emergency quest mutant goblin blood. Rank rare. The description detailed a mission from Caldi, an ancient alchemist who practically predated the server. Apparently, the old man was hyper-fixated on mutant goblins lately and finally stumbled upon a major breakthrough. The objective extract, fresh blood from a mutant goblin warrior lurking deep within the RD forest caves. The tracker popped up. Defeat mutant goblin warrior 0 out of 1. Collect mutant blood 0 out of 1. The loot pool was juicy, 1 gold piece, a massive XP drop, and an exclusive silver ring. Personally forged by Caldi himself. The only penalty for flopping was losing rep with the alchemist, and thankfully, there was 0 time limit. A mutant goblin, our boy pondered. Fast forward a bit, the squad finally rolled up to the cavern entrance. Gripping his chest, Forehead here admitted he was high-key stressing. Yue Bing-kun's face tightened, confessing she felt the exact same dread. Glancing at his shaking teammates, our MC completely understood. Sure, on the trek over thanks to some extra hunting, and the whole squad managed to score a solid level up. But this specific dungeon had a notorious reputation. It was literally dubbed the newbie grinder. Down in the forum threads, players were constantly begging for strats on how to survive the mutant goblins. Some even questioned if the devs made them unkillable. Theoretically, if a team followed the exact, it was doable. But let's be real, everyone tries the meta and they still get absolutely clapped because the difficulty spike is savage. One single misclick and it is an instant squad wipe. Like, who even balances this game? Our hero knew for a fact that going in blind usually guaranteed a brutal game over. The raid dungeon, the Tomb of Ard. Honestly, just hearing the name alone was enough to drain whatever shred of hope they had left. Especially when comparing these freaks to your standard, the mobs hit like trucks and the dungeon demanded pixel-perfect teamwork. Combining those two nightmare mechanics transformed this cave into an absolute meat grinder for rookies. Stealing their nerves, they stepped inside only to see another battered party, retreating in defeat with one player violently raging, "Man, screw this. Are you deadass right now? Is this thing even beatable?" His buddy chimed in. "Bro, they should have at least dropped a solo mode for this. 'Cause watching randoms throw the match literally makes me want to throw hands." Yu Bing-kun shot them a glance, dropping facts. This is gonna be a massive headache. But Shield Best wasn't phased. Hard or not, a top-tier squad should body this. If they flop here, they can kiss late-game raids goodbye. Our boy nodded, knowing that take was totally spot on. It's like the real-world veterans get the bag while rookies get benched. The comment section was absolutely popping off. Do we actually have to pack up this goblin warrior? Yeah, dude, skip him, and no guild will even look your way. Can't you just fake the clear? Others roasted him. Bro, do you even play the adventure log tracks? Literally everything. This guy's a walking L. Just uninstall already. Far his IQ is lower than the actual mobs. MC knew faking it was a massive rookie mistake. Every single grind quest's loot drops, map unlocks, and boss takedowns is hard-coded into your god's adventure log. Sure, maybe way down the line when you're stacked with broken buffs, skipping steps won't matter. But right now, if you want to squad up for the next region's big bads, you gotta clear the whole checklist. No skipping allowed. Plus the next zone's raid isn't optional, like the chump in Artie. A heartbeat later, the crew stepped up to a set of massive menacing gates. A slick hollow panel flashed in their faces, lair of the mutant goblin warrior. Rarity rare, type co-op dungeon. The lore dropped hard. This was the rotting stomping ground of a formerly goated goblin warlord, who caught a nasty curse and bailed on his own blood. Cap 4 players. Level lock max level 10. MC cracked a savage grin. All right, time to crash the party. Shield Best gave a firm nod. They were locked in. Yu Bing-kun yelled out, swearing she'd memorized the strat like a Bible. I won't throw promise. Shield Best marched right up to the heavy gates. Slamming his palm against the stone, he declared, "Let's get this bread." The system pinged, asking if the party leader was ready to trigger the mutant's lair. Boarhead, here, hyped them up. "Let's freaking go." Our guy gave the green light. The AI voice echoed, running head counts. Verifying level caps. Access granted. With a deafening rumble, the heavy doors split open. MC smirked, cracking his knuckles like an absolute menace. "About time I got a real workout." Stepping into the pitch-black abyss, eerie flames flared up along the walls. Out of the shadows stepped a hulking nightmare, leaking pure killer intent. The system flashed mutant goblin warrior. HP 20,000 over 20,000. Class elite boss. Type goblin. Build pure warrior with a nasty mutant buff. Lore drop. Once the absolute unit of his tribe, a toxic curse warped his flesh, scrambled his brains, and got him kicked out. The beast casually hoisted its massive blade and unleashed an ear-piercing roar. Shield Best flinched, sweating bullets. So, this is an elite, literal chills. Yu Bing-kun was trembling. Bro, is this even a game anymore? Our boy locked onto the target, yelling, "Incoming!" The mutant launched itself like a massive freight train. Shield Best threw himself into the front line, clenching his jaw. He knew Kaiser was OP, but carrying 3 scrubs in this chaos, no shot. He had to actually pull his weight. As the beast crashed down, he screamed, "Scatter!" The squad scattered like bowling pins. Shield Best planted his boots, holding his heavy shield up. He analyzed the pattern phase 1 dash. With a slick sidestep, he juked the charging behemoth. The goblin boss totally whiffed, slamming headfirst into solid rock. A huge text box popped up. Stunned for 2 seconds, Shield Best barked, "Light him up!" Boarhead let a brutal arrow fly, while Yu Bing-kun dropped a nasty spell combo. Both strikes connected, dealing raw damage. For a split second, Shield Best locked eyes with the raging monster. The beast whipped its massive greatsword down, but the tank instantly channeled his mana, taking the hit head-on with a deafening crash. The interface glowed Vanguard stance triggered. With teammates covering his 6, his defense, HP, and stamina skyrocketed. "I'm pulling aggro," he roared. MC immediately dashed in, chaining a flurry of ruthless combos on the stunned boss. Another glowing spell smashed into the goblin's face. Shield Best let out a cocky grin. Everything was literally textbook. If they kept this rhythm phase, one was free. But suddenly Boarhead screamed out, "Shield!" Watch the phase shift. He blinked, super confused. Wait, doesn't this guy change phases at 10,000 HP? He glanced at the boss's health bar, and his jaw practically hit the floor. Wait, what? In a flash, MC vaulted forward, brutally slicing the beast's arm, completely canceling its next strike. The monster shrieked in absolute agony. Shield Best was totally dumbfounded. That's when MC flashed a smug smirk. Phase 1. Yeah, we're done here. Flash forward, an interviewer was chilling on a bench with our boy asking how Kaiser's elite squad, the squad that crushed an impossible dungeon and shredded the final boss, they're getting crowned the absolute strongest. So, what's their ultimate cheat code? He brushed it off. A secret? Nah. We just got a squad full of heavy hitters who actually know how to play their roles. She narrowed her eyes. Normally, sure. A standard raid team rocks a tank, a pure DPS, a healer, and solid support. By the book, you need 4, but Kaiser's crew, they don't even have a tank. How are you guys even surviving these raids? Our MC just crossed his arms, smirking. A tank, huh? Guess that's a pretty crucial job. Someone's gotta aggro, the boss eat all the heavy hits, and read every single attack phase. They carry the whole run. So, you're doing all that he asked. Her jaw dropped. Wait, what? He just flashed a knowing grin. Flashback to the raid. Shield Best stared at the battered boss, his mind totally blown. Bro, how is this even real? Even elite tanks sweat, blood trying to cancel these attacks, even when they're spamming hardcore crowd control. But this dude, he's literally interrupting the boss with 0 CC skills, and he's a pure DPS class. It's insane. The monster wildly swung its massive warhammer. Our boy casually sidestepped it, scoffing. Please. This moveset is ridiculously predictable. He instantly countered with a blinding flurry of slashes. Forehead hair was losing his mind. You! Look at him. He's perfectly targeting its weak spots. Yubinkun gasped, completely starstruck. Forehead hair yelled. Holy crap, he totally broke the boss's combo again. Shield Best checked the boss's HP bar, and his eyes went wide. The monster was bleeding out, hitting the 20% mark. The dreaded Phase 2 was kicking in. He spun around, barking orders. Brace yourselves. Phase 2, incoming forehead. Hair readied his weapon. Got it. A crimson system alert flashed on screen. Mutant Goblin Warrior HP critical. Below 20%. Warning boss characteristic triggering. Warrior trait unleashed. The monstrous goblin staggered to its feet, and a massive shockwave of raw energy blasted outward, shaking the entire... The UI violently pinged again. All boss stats drastically boosted. Target entering berserk mode. Mutant trait engaged. Our MC tightened his grip on his sword. All right, let's get this over with. Now, mutant traits aren't your average buffs. They give bosses broken, unique mechanics. And this goblin warrior just triggered a brutal field condition. It was a vicious stacking mechanic. The system laid out the nightmare rules, landing 4 consecutive physical hits, would instantly slam the whole party with a massive debuff, and spamming 3 magical attacks that triggers a full damage reflect, instantly nuking the attacker. The beast let out a blood-curdling roar. A new notification popped up, thanks to the warrior's berserk aura. Player movement and attack speed were nerfed by 4%. Forehead hair was stressing out. Are you kidding me? This guy was already a nightmare, and now we're catching debuffs. But then a golden system prompt appeared just for our MC hero trait blocking mental corruption. Berserk effect completely nullified. Total immunity to all mutation gimmicks granted. Our boy couldn't help but smirk. Wow. So all those nasty status effects are completely useless against me. Shield Best aggressively signaled the squad. Listen up. Do not panic and absolutely no button mashing. Just focus on dodging for your life. Forehead hair gripped his weapon. Copy that. Shield Best yelled, Kaiser, you're debuffed too, right? But the MC just gave them a chill look. Just hang back. Shield Best was totally thrown off. Wait, what? I'll wrap this up real quick, our MC promised. Without hesitating, he blitzed forward. The furious boss swung its massive club, but he dead stopped the crushing blow with a flawless parry. Using the momentum, he launched himself into the air, raining down a brutal combo on the monster. Forehead Hair's eyes practically bugged out. How is he totally ignoring the debuff mechanic? Yu Bing-kun clutched her chest, her heart hammering. We're completely nerfed right now. But he's just shrugging it off. Shield Best gritted his teeth, his mind racing. Just who is this guy? Wasn't his because right now, he looks like the literal god of war. Up ahead, our MC was absolutely styling on the boss chaining strike after vicious strike. Shield Best could only watch in awe. Kaiser. The MC pivoted flawlessly, unleashing a devastating spinning slash that tore through the monster's defenses. Ding, a golden light flashed. Level up. Sword Mastery. Proficiency increased. Sword Mastery has officially hit level 7. With this milestone, all sword-based damage receives a flat 7% boost. Our guy didn't even pause. He dashed forward instantly, teleporting behind the goblin's massive bulk. He drove his blade deep. The system confirmed a critical strike Fury passive triggered, dealing a massive 10% bonus damage right to the boss's HP pool, channeling all his aura into one final explosive strike. The MC Zem swung with everything he had, brutally slicing the gigantic beast clean in half. The monster disintegrated into pixels as the victory prompt hit the screen. Mutant Goblin Warrior eliminated. Done. Forehead Hair was screaming like a fanboy. Let's go! Yu Bing-kun cheered right beside him. Shield Best finally exhaled, turning to the crew. From now on, whatever Kaiser said. Forehead Hair grabbed his leader's shoulder. Bro, seriously, what is up with this guy? Shield Best just shook his head. Could he be the legendary? Forehead Hair blinked. Wait, what? Slowly the entire squad turned to look at our MC, who was just casually standing on top of the boss's disintegrating corpse. The final system window popped up, locking in their speedrun record dungeon run complete. Total clear time, an insane 29 minutes and 58 seconds. The global leaderboards just refreshed, and the results are absolute fire, snagging the #1 spot for the speedrun Shield Best, clocking in at an insane 29 minutes and 58 seconds. The system immediately starts showering them with top-tier loot based on their performance. MVP goes to Kaiser, leaving Shield Best in the dust at 2nd place. Forehead here takes bronze, while Yu Bing-kun rounds out the squad in 4th. But the real jackpot, that belongs exclusively to the top dog. Kaiser's inventory literally floods with exclusive gear. We are talking the crimson leather armor and the massive spiked shoulder pads ripped straight from the goblin mutant war. He also bags the boss's signature blood-red greatsword, plus a brand new ridiculously flex-worthy title, Prince of the Red Run. Let us break down this heroic tier flex. The Throne of the Red Run is an ultra-rare title strictly reserved for the perks, completely broken. Every single time the game updates, this title permanently scales up all base stats based on their speedrun records. But wait, it gets better. It grants an exclusive acceleration passive, boosting his overall movement speed by 10%, because the throne holder always has to stay ahead of the pack. Oh, and an instant flat +5 to every single stat right off the bat. Kaiser simply smirks, brushing off the insane achievement. Goblins are just like overgrown cabbages, he jokes, practically begging to be chopped. The rest of his squad is just staring blankly at their glowing system windows, completely shell-shocked. Forehead here utterly loses his mind, screaming at the top of his lungs. A freaking heroic rank title, he yells. Yu Bing-kun is literally hyperventilating over her own drops, geeking out over an ultra-rare cast time reduction perk. They both snap their heads toward Kai's forehead. Here practically bows down, hyping him up and thanking him for the hard carry. Without Kaiser, they would never have even sniffed this kind of god-tier loot. Yu Bing-kun chimes in, completely starstruck, while our boy just hits them with a chill smile. Do not sweat it, guys, he says smoothly. But then Shield Best shuffles over, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. He nervously asks Kaiser if it stings seeing someone else's name slapped on the #1 spot. The dude is practically sweating bullets, apologizing profusely for not transferring the party leadership over earlier. Kaiser forces a polite smile, but internally, his brain is working in overdrive. Hitting rank 1 might just be 15 minutes of fame, but this massive flex could actually be their golden ticket. This kind of exposure could easily grab the attention of the top 10 great guilds. Sure, they only cleared a low-level beginner dungeon, but they still permanently carved their usernames right into the server's history books. And honestly, the most satisfying part, they had officially dethroned that arrogant tryhard exterminator. Shield Best interrupts his thoughts, still groveling and begging for forgiveness for stealing the spotlight by accident. He even offers to drop real-world cash or whatever in game currency. Kaiser wants to make it right, but Kaiser just waves him off totally unbothered. Pressing a hand to his chest, he plays the humble card. Seriously, man, it happens, he reassures him. The system just automatically blasts the party leader's name on the boards anyway. Plus, nobody actually expected to absolutely demolish the world record today. In his head, Kaiser is shrugging. Who cares what username is glowing up there? Fame is honestly just a massive headache that attracts weirdos and stream snipers. The only thing that actually matters is the sweet, sweet loot. Flashing another easy smile, he immediately opens up his inventory to inspect his brand new gear. He is looking at the iconic warrior set glowing with rare and rare plus tags. For this early in the game, this armor is literally the absolute meta. Bagging a full set like this is a massive W, so he definitely has zero complaints. Suddenly, a wild, unhinged smirk spreads across his face. As he runs at Shield Best, notices the crazy look in his eyes and asks nervously, "Yo, are you absolutely sure you are good, bro?" Kaiser snaps back to reality, his smirk softening into a confident, "Never better," he replies smoothly. "Seriously, drop the apologies, we are all good." Forehead. Here, completely ignoring the tension, "Kaiser, I am literally your loyal dog until the day I die," he screeches. Yubing-kun claps her hands, cheering that Kaiser is the absolute GOAT. Meanwhile, Shield Best just watches him realizing this guy is playing on an entirely different plane of existence. Flashing a warning that the dungeon instance is about to collapse. A massive glowing portal rips open right next to them, and Shield Best turns to his buddy. Forehead here blinks completely confused. "Dom, Shield." Best lets out a breath and admits, "Honestly, man, when I saw all those viral forum posts glazing Kaiser, I thought it was just total clickbait. But after seeing him in action, it is all real. The legendary Forgotten Kaiser is back." Just then, our boy turns back toward the swirling portal and casually asks, "You guys coming or what?" Shield Best snaps out of his trance, yelling that they are right behind him. Together, the whole squad leaps into the portal. Cut to a few hours later. The crew strolls into a sketchy tavern buried deep in the Arday slums. Forehead. Here looks around, mind utterly blown. The vibe in here hits completely different during the daytime. Yubing-kun nods, amazed at the game's day and night cycle. It is literally like magic. The entire atmosphere flipped. Kaiser's eyes scan the room, immediately locking onto their target. Alchemist Calday slumped in a corner. The grumpy NPC glares at them, barking. Forehead. Here crosses his arms, immediately thrown off by the hostile attitude. "What a total creep," Yubing-kun whispers, disgusted. But Shield Best steps in as the voice of reason, reminding them not to judge an NPC by their sketchy character model. The alchemist squints at them, suspicious. "You better not be here to cancel the quest," he growls. "I have a massive waitlist of adventurers willing to help, but I critically need that monster blood for my research." Without saying a single word, Kaiser violently slams a glowing vial of crimson liquid right onto the wooden desk. The alchemist's jaw drops to the floor. "Wait, is that actually You seriously farmed this from the boss in under 40 minutes? Kaiser just hits him with a cold, smug stare. "Bingo," he says. The alchemist is practically vibrating with shock, completely mind-blown that anyone could speedrun that beast. Right on cue, a translucent... Wait, did that max affection title kick in from the jump? His relationship meters are absolutely skyrocketing. Chaldea's affection is surging. The Goblin Blood mission officially cleared. The loot drop gives him one shiny gold piece. A fat stack of XP and a custom silver ring hand forged by Chaldea herself. Boom! He levels up. He just absolutely crushed the Zero trial. Since rankings are not locked in the Zero trial, the gateway to the main continent is finally wide open. He scores a basic tier skill summon ticket just for hitting level 10. Oh, and a random skill gacha ticket drops straight into his inventory. He literally screams out loud, "Let's go main continent, baby." Suddenly, the system chimes in. A hidden condition just triggered, dropping a bonus reward. It is a handwritten letter from Chaldea. Rarity, tier rare plus. The flavor text is entirely scribbled in her own handwriting. Our boy stares at it, smirking. A secret prize, cool, but I will deal with that later. Right now, he has way bigger fish to fry. This is the exact moment he has been hyped for since Pantheon. Instantly, a flurry of digital cards erupts right in front of his face. He squints. Honestly, it looks kinda mid compared to Pantheon's flashy stuff. Then the system announces his Eye of Truth just booted up. He shrugs. Makes sense. It is just a low-tier pull, nothing crazy. But then the system flashes his brand new ability. Dash and Sweep. Rarity normal. Class locked entirely to Assassin. It lets you violently lunge anywhere you want while simultaneously slashing your blade. The damage output. A solid 150% of his base attack stat. The faster you run, the farther you lunge. The higher your attack speed, the quicker it casts. And it only packs a 10-second cooldown. He nods. Dash and sweep, not too shabby. I spammed this all the time back in Demrock. But honestly, that is just the appetizer. Now it is time for the real deal. A gacha pull that could drop literally anything from basic trash to god-tier legendary. The system prompts him to roll the dice. Boom. Warning screen pops up. Session time limit exceeded. Initiating forced logout in exactly 5 seconds. Wait, what session limit? It turns out the Gauss servers have a strict safety protocol. It forcefully kicks players out of the hyper-realistic virtual world. So, they do not literally starve to death or become raging gacha zombies. He is totally stunned. Has it really been 10 whole hours already? The red digital timer ticks down. 5, 4, 3. Our boy is absolutely sweating bullets now. He desperately claws at the holographic screen. Mission timed out. Commencing forced termination. Bam. He jolts awake inside his gaming pod, letting out a soul-crushing scream of pure frustration. The next morning, he literally counts the seconds until 10 a.m. The moment the clock strikes, he dives back into the pod, jacking straight back into God of Savior. Spawning right back into the gritty slums of Arda, he is shaking with anticipation. What did he even pull before the crash? Suddenly, a golden glow illuminates his face. A notification pops up showing he has one unread, completely untested skill waiting in his inventory. He crosses his fingers for a legendary, but honestly, his RNG has been way too cracked lately. Still, what he got is completely insane. Heroic tier backstab. Class lock assassin. The lore text. This nasty move lets you warp directly behind an enemy's blind spot, scrambling their senses while delivering a massive burst of damage. The actual effect is you instantly teleport behind any target in range, slapping a death mark on them. And the craziest part, you can absolutely spam it as long as the mark stays active. Trigger it again and you warp right back behind them for an instant guaranteed critical hit. The damage literally scales up based on how much you have already beaten them down. The cooldown is a flat 50 seconds. His eyes widen. A backstab ability. This is literally the ultimate assassin playbook. It is the exact reason squishy mages and snipers are terrified of us. It does not even matter how far away they try to kite you. This utterly broken mechanic lets you snap right onto their heels in a split second. And now, it is all his. If he stacks just a few more moves like this, he is going to be the absolute apex predator in both PvP and PvE, just completely wiping the floor with everyone. Right as he is geeking out, 2 random players stroll past. The dude catches his psycho grin and mutters, "Yo, is that guy off his meds?" His girl panics, tightly grabbing his arm. "Let's just take the long way around." They immediately bolt in the opposite direction. Our boy blinks, totally confused by the drive-by judgment. But what a skills secured. Now it is time for a serious drip check. With gear this elite, his days of looking like a complete noob are officially over. Flexing his fresh new armor set, he grins. The tutorial is done. It is finally time to conquer the main continent. A glowing prompt materializes, commencing teleportation to Raven, the gateway city of the main landmass. Warning. Crossing this threshold is a one-way trip. There is absolutely no coming back to the beginner zone of Arda. Standing right on the edge of the portal, a twinge of guilt hits him. He had just ghosted everyone yesterday without even dropping a... He genuinely vibed with that crew, and it kind of sucked leaving them hanging. Whatever, he sighs. If the RNG gods will it, we will definitely cross paths again. With that, he steps right into the blinding light. A second later, he materializes right in the bustling heart of the massive new city. Looking around, he realizes this is the bottleneck. Every single player who grinded their way out of the Arda tutorial, absolutely hyped on pure adrenaline and big dreams, drops right here for their grand debut. And unlike the starter zones where you are region-locked by your actual country, this is a global free-for-all. Everyone mashes together to build the ultimate squads. And the chaotic starting line for all of it, Raven City. Let the real games begin. Heavily armored warriors march through the city gates, their voices booming over the crowd as they announce the triumphant return of the Raven Knights. A glowing system interface flashed before his eyes, confirming his touchdown on the main continent. Every single feature that was locked out before wide open now. The training wheels were officially off. No more newbie protection. The arena PvP duels, crafting workshops, and all the high-stakes content just unlocked at once. Welcome to Raven, the sprawling metropolis, where the real grind finally kicks off. The system casually dropped a warning to report any muggings to the city guards immediately. Our boy just froze in his tracks, blinking at the sheer disrespect. The rumors weren't capping the true survival game. Definitely starts on the mainland. Right on cue, a loud tavern owner flagged him down, hyping up Raven's legendary ash brewed ale and practically begging him to take a sip. The guy even gassed up his sick red armor set. Instantly, a swarm of merchants crowded him, pushing all kinds of exotic snacks. Taking it all in, our main character totally got why players just chilled in the safe zone instead of hunting, vibing out and treating it like a walking simulator. But nah, he needed to lock in. The sightseeing could wait. Honestly, it was time to spill some blood. Fast forward a bit, and he's already out in the sprawling Raven Plains testing out his brand new drip by absolutely thrashing some local goblins. His full warrior gear was popping off with insane passive buffs. Rocking 3 matching pieces instantly slapped a heavy fear debuff right onto those green runts. We're talking a flat 7% damage boost, plus 2 extra points to every single stat just for fighting goblins. He smirked, realizing he basically had the ultimate cheat code for wiping out this specific mob. Right on schedule, a system alert popped up, confirming his armor's overwhelming aura was actively terrorizing his targets. A crimson goblin started visibly shaking, while its blue buddy just completely gave up on life. Wasting 0 time, our guy triggered his high-speed dash and slash combo, tearing through the paralyzed monsters in a blur of pure steel. Another logging the massive bonus damage from his armor's set effect. Both the red and blue goblins were completely wiped off the map. Even better, his massive crimson greatsword soaked up the combat data, leveling up its raw attack power. Our hero couldn't help but grin. He was getting seriously addicted to this loot. His base stats were already busted, and now he stacks that 7% multiplier chef's kiss. Throw in an evolving weapon that scales mid-fight, and he was an absolute menace. He was living his best life. The grind was steady, and he was just inches away from hitting his next level up. But then the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Someone was watching him. Whipping around, his eyes locked onto a shady figure stalking him in the grass. One look at the guy's gear, and our MC immediately recognized the starter. Oh, look at that! An absolute buffet of squishy beginners ripe for the picking. The rat tried to sneak an ambush, but his blade just clanged uselessly against our hero's massive, unyielding greatsword. Leaking an absolutely terrifying aura, our MC stared him down and muttered, "The hell are you doing?" The wannabe assassin practically jumped out of his skin, scrambling backward as he screamed at his hidden squad to stop throwing. Right on cue, his cowardly butt raining down a volley of arrows from a distance. But our protagonist didn't even flinch, casually batting every single projectile out of the sky with terrifying. Out of nowhere, a berserker charged in, swinging a heavy axe, aiming right for his head. But our guy effortlessly parried the strike, snapping back with a blindingly fast counterslash. The attacker's eyes went wide with pure terror as he realized he messed with the wrong newbie. Panicking, he turned tail and bolted for his life. But our hero just flexed his movement skill, teleporting straight into the runner's path. Flashing a wicked predatory smirk, he asked, "Looking for the exit, buddy?" He couldn't help but sigh mentally. No matter what server there are always bottom feeders who thrive on chaos, and virtual reality is no exception. We're not talking about honorable, skill-based arena battles here, but straight-up cold-blooded slaughter. You know the type, griefers who literally farm innocent users for their lunch money. These toxic trolls plagued his old games like Demrock and God of Savior. Sometimes they did it for the loot drops, sometimes for the clips, or just to ruin someone's day. The motives were endless. But if you asked any veteran who the absolute scum of the earth were, 99% would point straight at spawn campers. The kind of pathetic losers who camp the tutorial gates just to snipe low-level players and steal their beginner items. Exactly like the trembling clown standing in front of him right now. The trapped player was completely shook, his brain short-circuiting as he wondered how a tank just pulled off a rogue's back. Since when do heavy sword mains have blink skills? Before he could even process the math, our MC sent him straight back to the lobby. A sleek holographic panel popped up, casually logging his 4-player kill streak. Since they swung first, the system slapped a self-defense tag on it, keeping his morality karma spotless. Dusting off his hands, he noted how the PvP rules here were a carbon copy of his last game. The only difference was that his starting zone, Ard, had those massive newbie protection buffs which acted like a giant safety net. The players back there were actually wholesome, but Out here, it was the Wild West, filled with absolute degenerates. Anyway, as he vacuumed up their dropped loot and cashed in his bounty, a victory banner flashed marking his goblin extermination run as officially complete. He instantly bagged 70 silver coins and a massive chunk of experience. Right after the hunter's contract cleared out too, dropping another 80 silver more raw experience and a savage beast fang necklace into his inventory. A golden light enveloped his body as he finally hit level 17. With that, the lockdown on the notorious Western Gate was lifted. Our boy couldn't hide his grin, knowing he finally had the clearance to enter the danger zone. The Western Raven Forest wasn't just a map, it was an absolute nightmare biome that even the non-playable characters refused to step foot in. Forget the sunny, wide-open fields of the Eastern Gate. This place was a claustrophobic hellscape of twisted vines and pitch-black fog completely killing your line of sight. And it wasn't just packed with high-tier goblins, the shadows were crawling with endless swarms of mutated giant bugs. Out of nowhere, vicious goblins spring from the shadows, while twisted monsters launch brutal sneak attacks from behind every towering oak and jagged boulder. Thanks to these relentless jump scares surviving the Western Wood, birthing the region's golden rule: never step foot in this zone without a squad of at least 3 players. Naturally, this creates massive desperate crowds bottlenecking the West Gate, begging to join a party. Eventually, dozens of low-level grinders are completely stuck at Raven's western entrance. One frustrated warrior groans that their squad is absolutely perfect, except they are desperately missing a medic. Where the hell are the support classes hiding? He complains while another player scoffs, reminding him that medics are basically unicorns because running a support build is mind-numbingly dull. Plus, grinding a healer to max level is straight-up agony. Suddenly, a squad mate taps his shoulder, jabbing a finger straight at our lone wolf hero. "Look, another absolute psycho going in solo," he snickers, mocking the endless stream of arrogant newbies, pointing out that even elite veterans wouldn't. What kind of miracle was this suicidal kid banking on? Our boy simply smirks at their trash talk, casually strolling straight into the suffocating darkness of the thicket. Immediately, he goes full Doomslayer on the local goblin population. A sneaky green freak tries to backstab him, but he effortlessly backflips out of the danger zone, planting a devastating kick right into its ugly mug, before splitting the creature wide open with his blade. Out of nowhere, a hidden archer unleashes a deadly volley of arrows straight at his skull. He effortlessly parries the steel-tipped projectiles, whipping his sword through the air like a lethal boomerang to impale the sniper. Instantly, a glowing holographic prompt pops up, warning him that chucking his weapon just disabled his warrior set bonus. Capitalizing on his empty hands, a massive horde of shrieking monsters instantly swarms him. Unbothered, he materializes a heavy battle axe out of the thin air, smirking internally against garbage-tier mobs like these. The interface flashes once more, confirming his passive adventurer trait just unlocked all basic weapon proficiencies. Activating his backstab ability, he literally teleports behind the closest enemy, bringing the heavy steel down in a brutal, bone-crushing vertical cleave. Enraged, the entire pack of greenskins lunges at him simultaneously, but our guy doesn't even blink, instantly obliterating half a dozen attackers with one devastating wide-arc sweep. As he casually slaughters the remaining stragglers, he can't help but admire the perfect weighty balance of the axe in his grip. Minutes later, the massacre ends. He wipes off the green blood, assuming his extermination quest is finally wrapped up, when a colossal nightmarish centipede erupts from the earth right behind him. Launching himself skyward with insane leg strength, our MC brings his blade down in a catastrophic earth-shattering plunge. The gigantic insect relentlessly snaps its venomous jaws at him. Effortlessly deflecting the terrifying strike, he grips his axe and roars that the bug isn't just hideously deformed, it's also way too damn loud. Moving like a total blur, our hero viciously hacks off the creature's razor-sharp mandibles in a spray of acid, then instantly follows up with a ruthless execution move, turning the colossal bug into glowing dust. A cascade of system notifications floods his vision, confirming the giant. His blade mastery skill skyrockets to level 10. A glorious golden flash signals his overall level up. Pulling up his character sheet, he checks his newly boosted attributes, pleasantly surprised by the rapid progression. Even though this solo grind is insanely sweaty, his experience bar is absolutely skyrocketing. He's already blasted through 90% of his mission log, leaving just a single normal plus difficulty bounty tethered to the West Gate. The blue screen displays his final task, a quest literally called The Lost Pendant, ranked normal plus. The lore text details a desperate plea from an NPC named Camilla crying over a precious necklace snatched by some thieving feline. His objective, track down that shiny trinket deep inside the hostile Western territory. The payout includes 1 gold coin, a solid chunk of experience, and a mystery bonus reward from the girl herself. The penalty for botching it, taking a massive hit to Camilla's affinity meter. Honestly, he thinks this fetch quest is a total walk in the park, especially since he already knows the exact spawn coordinates. All he has to do is stroll in, grab the loot, and dip. Fast forward a bit, and a chaotic mob of players has bottlenecked right outside the zone's entrance. Scanning into the massive twisted tree, our boy prays the missing jewelry is still programmed to spawn on its branches. Thankfully, the queue of players farming the spot isn't insanely long. If the server was more packed, he'd be camping here for absolute ages just for 1 drop. But out of nowhere, a random gamer screams across the plaza, asking the crowd if they saw the massive bounty placed on a notorious player known as Noob King. "Wait, you mean that toxic edgelord who calls himself Assassin?" Someone replies, scoffing, that the cocky jerk totally deserves to get clapped. Then another eavesdropper chimes in, whispering that the target supposedly crossed paths with the legendary Kaiser. Hearing his own username dropped in public, our MC internally panics, wondering. The second guy quickly waves it off, claiming it's just fake news spread by some delusional fanboy. He loudly mocks the absurd rumors going around about a pure-build warrior, somehow wielding rogue-exclusive stealth abilities. To them, it sounds like total game-breaking garbage. Chuckling at the sheer stupidity of the rumor, the guy asks who would ever buy such a glitchy lie. Meanwhile, our hero realizes he urgently needs an overpowered swordsman, casually exploiting assassin mechanics stacked with 6 maxed-out attributes. The massive elite clans would absolutely lose their minds over an anomaly like him. Sure, a few desperate recruiters would try to lure him with insane signing bonuses, but the vast majority would just want to utterly delete the threat. That goes double for the big league syndicates crawling with hyper-competitive, sweaty top rankers who violently. Their toxic philosophy is simple: if you can't recruit the glitch, you permaban him to the dirt. Shortly after the gossip dies down, our guy successfully snags the stolen jewelry. Instantly, a familiar holographic prompt flashes, confirming the lost pendant is safely tucked in his inventory. Now he just needs to hand-deliver this shiny rock back to Camilla. He thinks turning it in this fast might look a bit too suspicious. Giving it some time, our boy eventually strolls back into Raven City and casually tosses the missing loot straight to the grate. Her eyes completely lit up. She showered him with thanks, totally admitting she never would have tracked it down. Ding-ah, glowing system window flashed right before his eyes. The lost pendant quest was officially a wrap. The loot dropped 1 gold coin, a massive wave of XP, and a mystery gift straight from Camille. Plus, a sweet level-up notification popped off. He officially smashed his way to level 20, securing a totally sick pendant, packing a random skill drop. Shoving a tiny box into his hands, the girl beamed. "This is literally my absolute favorite," she chirped, "but you were super sweet, so I'm passing it on to you." The item specs instantly loaded up. Turns out our girl Camille had a major obsession with hoarding bizarre, unusual artifacts. This was her ultimate stash, a total RNG mystery box. Nobody had a clue what was lurking inside. Our boy smiled, thanked her, and gently warned her to keep a tighter grip on her gear. The kid was practically vibrating with joy, thanking him again. Suddenly, another alert pinged. Boom! His starter title effect kicked into overdrive, triggering the maximum affection buff. His rapport stats were basically speedrunning. Camille's trust in him just skyrocketed, totally off the charts. Turning on his heel, he chuckled. Was her affection maxing out that fast just because she was a kid? Whatever, easy win. Time to lock in and grind out the next mission. Flash a fresh system prompt materialized right on cue. New quest alert, dungeon wipeout. The rarity level, straight up rare. The lore dropped. Irina, who was absolutely terrified of the Western Woods, was stressing hard. She was super paranoid that ignoring the dungeon any longer would just let the mob scale up and mutate. The bounty? 10 shiny gold coins, a massive mountain of XP, and a low-tier skill voucher. The penalty for failing, catching a heavy guilt trip from a super disappointed Irina. The clock was ticking 48 hours on the timer. Our MC smirked. A free skill voucher just for a basic run? Yeah, this was a massive win. No way in hell he was skipping this. Now scoping out the zones past the western gates, there were 2 prime hotspots. You had the goblin boss hideout and the downright creepy ant nest. If he really wanted to farm the pieces for a solid warrior armor set crashing, the goblin party was definitely the play. But here was the ultimate catch. Both of these raids were strictly co-op, And honestly, it was way too early for him to leak his insanely overpowered hidden stats to randoms. Fast forward a bit, and he pulled up right to the goblin stronghold. The entrance zone was absolutely packed to the brim with players looking for action. It was total chaos. Squads were aggressively spamming the chat for Our dude just raised an eyebrow. Damn, he realized even the crafting mains were actually out here grinding the entrance. Right at that exact second, some cocky player strutted up to a raid leader loudly flexing his rogue class status. The squad leader just glared back with pure disgust. "Bro, we totally don't carry thieves. Have some shame and step off," he barked. A different player jumped into the mix, getting all defensive. "Yo, if we all just vibe together and gang up on the boss, we're guaranteed to clear it right." "Hard pass," the veteran sneered, totally icing the dude out. Meanwhile, every single tank in the vicinity was instantly swarming a female. Watching this absolute circus unfold, our protagonist just sighed. It was the same old toxic meta everyone was desperately thirsty for magic users. But honestly, that was just the harsh reality of God of Savior. The entire game basically revolved around severe class discrimination was completely normalized here. Spellcasters were basically treated like literal gods. And the absolute worst part, even a skilled blade wielder was considered total dead weight in this specific zone. Out of literally nowhere, a random player hollered in his direction. "Hey you, solo queuing wanna squat up with us for the run?" Our boy just blinked. "Wait, you clearly realize I'm a swordsman, right?" The guy just shrugged easily. "Yeah, we know, but honestly, our levels are stacked. We're literally just speedrunning a quest, so your class totally doesn't matter," the guy casually added. Alarm bells quietly rang in the MC's head. This felt crazy. Flashing a completely fake friendly grin, our MC replied, "If you guys are cool with it, I'd love to tag along." Instantly, a glowing party invite popped right onto his screen. Scanning the gamer tags of his fresh squad, he totally narrowed his eyes. Did these guys already know his real identity? Just a minute ago, hadn't someone in this exact same group whispered, "Is that him?" Kaiser, rocking the full heavy bruiser set, and casually hauling a massive greatsword, no less. A chick in the party flashed a highly toxic little smirk. "Oh, it's 100% him. No shot?" There's another player running that exact tragic build in this entire sector. The squad leader flashed a totally villainous grin. "What an absolutely pathetic joke," he muttered. Fast forward, the group finally breached the dungeon gates and established a basic Bzzzt. The harsh area specs completely loaded in. Location: Goblin Warlord's Lair. Difficulty rating: Rare. The lore drop hit. This place was the filthy dark hideout of an infamous cursed green goblin gladiator who got permanently banned from his very own clan. The max party size, hard capped at exactly 4 players. The level restriction, nobody stepping in past level 24, allowed. Without missing a single beat, one of his new teammates ruthlessly sniped a low-level goblin scout. And yeah, that kill instantly pinged a massive aggro. Watching them casually flex their combat moves, our MC really had to admit they absolutely weren't trash. Their DPS output was super solid, and warning, the UI frantically flashed red. The completely terrified warlord was rapidly deploying his personal elite mob wave. Time to lock in out of absolutely nowhere. A completely blood-curdling screech violently echoed right through the pitch-black tunnels. One of the guys lazily turned to him, smirking. "Hey, sword boy, wanna try soloing this wave yourself?" His buddy instantly chuckled. "Yeah, man, go totally crazy. If your HP drops too low, we'll instantly step in." The female members quickly chimed in smoothly, claiming they needed to test their backline buffs. "Don't sweat it," they lied. "We'll instantly rush in if things go south." Our boy instantly saw right through the trap. Were they seriously trying to test his actual power right now? Fine, he just cracked his knuckles. He'd humor these absolute clowns, at least for a little bit. Without a sound, he triggered his dash and slash, immediately diving headfirst into a brutal bloodbath with the goblin horde. The squad leader flashed a crooked grin. "Yep, that is definitely our guy. So how is he holding up?" His teammate smirked. "Honestly, not terrible. The dude weaves around fatal blows like it is nothing. And for a guy swinging a two-handed weapon, he is crazy fast. With gear stacked like that, he would wipe the floor with practically anyone in this sector," the scout muttered. "Still does not add up, though," the leader frowned. "How the hell did our top-tier rogue get smoked by a random solo player? Sure, the guy is quick, but he is not exactly a powerhouse," he admitted. "But we are talking about an assassin packing active camo and lethal venom. Literally the ultimate PvP build, and they got wiped in a 3-on-1. Make it make sense." A girl strolled up, rolling her eyes. Who cares? Why are we overthinking this? She scoffed. Our only job right now is sending him to the respawn screen. The leader nodded. Yeah, time to end this guy's run and wipe our hands clean of this mess. Just keep your game faces on, he warned. We are sticking to the classic betrayal playbook. Slapping on a fake smile, the leader approached our main character. Man, you were totally cracked out there. Another party member chimed in. We stepped in to back you up just in case. But it looks like you had it completely under control. The protagonist flashed a knowing grin. Nah, you guys are seriously elite fighters yourself. The leader turned to his buddy, hyping it up. Yo, where did you even dig up a pro like this? Just got an eye for talent, bro, the guy bragged. Meanwhile, our hero was internally connecting the dots. Did these scumbags seriously ditch their own teammate in a war zone? And now they are acting all chummy. If they would pull a stunt that filthy, they will definitely throw me under the bus and loot my corpse. The second things go south. Clapping his hands, the leader announced, All right, break is over. Should we push forward? The entire squad eagerly nodded along. I will just wait for the perfect opening and quietly put him in the dirt, the leader schemed. The party moved out immediately, clashing with more goblins. In the chaos, the mage girl sneaked a cheap shot right at our hero's back, but a goblin lunged at him right then, catching the full blast of her spell instead. Watch your crosshairs, idiot, the leader hissed. I was locked right on him, she frantically whispered back. That ugly freak just body blocked it. Maybe your recoil control is just trash, another guy sneered. Our protagonist casually observed them, thinking, I literally gave them a wide open target and they still choked. Guess I have to play along a bit longer. Soon the squad breached the boss chamber. A glaring system alert popped up notifying them that the goblin chieftain had locked onto the trespassers. Instantly, a swarm of elite red goblin guards rushed in to crush them. These hulking titled elite monsters charged. Kaiser draw their aggro for now, but when he whipped his head around, Kaiser had completely vanished. He bailed on us. Another guy shrieked, panic setting in. The mage girl screamed, frantically pointing at the massive threat. Too late, an elite goblin swung its massive club. The swordsman barely blocked the devastating strike, and screamed, I have got the aggro. Burn him down. Hurry! The girl began charging a spell, but suddenly a massive boulder, hurled by the chieftain himself, smashed into the ground mere inches from her. Another holographic window flashed, displaying the monster's specs. Rare dungeon boss, goblin class. Its core traits, cowardly, selfish, defensive, and vengeful. The lore text revealed it was a descendant carrying the ancient bloodline of the ultimate goblin warlord. But that epic bloodline had thinned out so much over generations that this boss was just a bloated, cowardly mess who clearly skipped cardio. We will kite him for now, the swordsman yelled desperately. Right then he caught sight of the protagonist chilling in the corner. Our main character casually strolled up, a wicked smirk on his face. So, you guys buddies with that dead rogue? The girl, trembling in absolute horror, stammered out, Yeah, we hated that guy too. Total enemies, I swear. But we have to clear this raid first. We can only survive if we team up. The protagonist nodded slowly. Honestly, that makes perfect sense. She let out a massive sigh of relief, until cold steel suddenly pierced her chest. With a chilling smile, he whispered, Too bad, I do not want to. A crimson alert popped up, confirming he had executed a player, but since she held villain status, his karma points did not drop a single digit. Yep, our hero grinned inwardly. She was totally one of the bad guys. He had anticipated her little backstab attempt from the start. Honestly, a sneak attack that sloppy would not even work on a corpse. Barely surviving, the goblin beat down the squad leader, shrieked, You just iced our mage. Are you trying to get us all wiped here? Flicking the blood from his blade, our hero smiled coldly. Want to know my golden rule? I do not do business with trash who plot to put a knife in my back. The second I team up with snakes like you, it is game over anyway. Our boy whipped out an assassin's blade. The dude's jaw hit the floor. Wait, is that a rogue's dagger? He gasped, wondering what I'm gonna do with this. Our MC smirked. Oh, he knew exactly what the guy was thinking. It was looted from his buddy after all. The scrub completely lost it. Are you insane? You're a swordsman. You can't even wield that. Even if you could, what's your endgame here? You take us out and you honestly think you can solo? This entire raid. The protagonist just chuckled casually, asking if the fool understood how the goblin chieftain's ironclad defense passive actually worked. The adventurer scoffed, bragging that it blocked pure physical damage, which was exactly why spellcasters absolutely dominated this zone. A zero like you is completely useless with a basic knife, he spat. But our MC's grin only grew wider. And what about status effects? He whispered. The guy blinked, completely thrown off. Was this lunatic seriously trying to execute the boss with a basic melee weapon? Bleed damage, the MC declared, hinting that normal hemorrhage stacks could shred right through it. Before the guy could process that, our protagonist burst forward like a bullet and swiped the blade in a blinding flash. Glowing system prompts instantly flooded his vision. The stat gap was absolutely astronomical. The lethal passive of the blade flared to life. Target's vulnerability exploited. Massive hemorrhage triggered. Deep crimson gashes ripped open, and both the trash talker and the nearby goblin crumpled to the dirt. A fresh notification chimed, confirming that the colossal power difference was multiplying the damage output to insane levels. His health bar instantly melted past the 50% mark. Coughing up blood, the adventurer was paralyzed by terror. How could the power scaling be this broken? He was the higher level player here. This made zero sense. No matter how overpowered the gear was, he was level 24 and this punk was only level 20. How could the gap be so devastating? Our MC practically read his mind. The guy had no clue that this hemorrhage effect was actually a totally busted perk pulled straight from a level 20 premium. Honestly, even our boy was hyped that the debuffs stacked. Back in the OG days of God of Savior, overlapping effects from the same archetype were strictly locked. But the devs never accounted for an absolute menace like him logging in. A player dual-wielding assassin gear with pure rogue abilities. Bleeding out on the floor, the scrub wheezed. What kind of glitch is this? You're hacking! He choked out right before his eyes rolled back and his avatar completely shattered. Golden pop-ups materialized, confirming the PvP kill. Since the target was flagged as a rogue player killer, our MC's karma stayed squeaky clean. He even bagged an elite crimson goblin in the crossfire. Our anti-hero just rolled his eyes. These losers always cried hacker when they got outplayed. Right then, the final survivor, traumatized by his squad, getting absolutely wiped, started spiraling into a full-blown panic attack. How did a simple raid turn into an absolute slaughter? Where did they screw up? He realized with absolute dread that he should have never messed with this demon. He had to dip right now before he was next. But the exact second his brain screamed, "Run!" our MC blitzed right through him, and the remaining monster in a single devastating blur. The guy collapsed, his health bar rapidly draining from severe blood loss, and instantly flatlined. Another glowing prompt flashed on the screen, confirming his second player elimination, and since this guy was also rocking the villain tag, no penalty points were added. Plus he secured another elite monster kill. Our boy smirked, admiring the heavy DPS output. Dumping 15 points straight into raw strength was totally paying off. But before he could celebrate, an ear-piercing roar shook the cavern. A massive alert flared up, warning that the goblin chieftain was officially enraged over his slaughtered crew. The hulking beast completely lost its mind and charged like a feral tank. "Oh right, you're still here," our protagonist chuckled. "Time to put this raid boss in the dirt." The very millisecond the brute swung its weapon, he smoothly sidestepped and drove a brutal knee straight into its ugly mug. The monster was launched across the cave, but instantly bounced back completely cloaked in that annoying ironclad defense aura. Not missing a beat, our MC vanished into a sprint, dragging his blade across the beast's armor. Forcing the lethal hemorrhage debuff to stick, dark red started pooling beneath the monster. Our boy flashed a wicked grin. This fight was basically over. Feeling that overwhelming cold-blooded killer intent, the boss completely broke down and tried to run for its life. But the MC instantly triggered his Shadow Step ability, teleporting directly into its path. "Leaving so soon," he mocked, with a dead-eyed smile. Without wasting another breath, he executed the killing strike, completely erasing the chieftain from existence. A triumphant fanfare rang out as a notification confirmed he had successfully obliterated the final boss, the Alpha Goblin himself. The instance was fully cleared, and his bestiary updated with the epic conquest. He scored a sweet level up, and his blade proficiency skyrocketed to rank 5. The loot drop was insane too, a heavy-duty leather waistguard, rare tier locked to level 20. This was the exact gear worn by the monstrous boss, forged with insane resilience, just to support its massive hulking frame. Our guy was hyped. It was an absolute god-tier drop. His inventory was desperately missing a good belt, so this was a massive win. He strapped it on instantly, grinning as his stats got a spicy little bump, +1 to raw power, and an extra 2 points to his life pool. "Not too shabby at all," our protagonist muttered. Honestly, if this raid had a speedrun timer, he would have definitely smashed his way straight onto the global leaderboards. Look, not every dungeon locks you into a ticking clock. He felt a split second of pity, sure, but he still had plenty of time to kill. Claiming his finder's fee, he looted the fallen adventurers, bagging a silver iron shield and a heavy bastard training sword. Gripping the blade, our MC laughed at his own hardcore roleplayer past. Yeah, that old gamer tag was pure garbage now. He swiped a shiny necklace, figuring it would fetch a decent price at the market, but right on cue, his Eye of Truth skill flared to life on its own. Squinting into the pitch-black depths, he caught a weird pulsing glow. Was that a cloaking spell glitching out? No, this light was way too intense. Maybe some radioactive glowing moss. Suddenly, a holographic system window popped up. Flashing an insane alert, he had just stumbled into a hidden secret dungeon. Welcome to the Black Goblin Shaman Refuge. Since he was the literal first person to crack this place open, the system slapped the Skilled Explorer title on him. Stepping up to the swirling portal, our guy marveled at the sheer variety of zones in this world. You had your massive raid solo, boss arenas, twisted labyrinths, plus the limited event runs. But out of all that content, the absolute rarest, most totally gate-kept zones were the secret dungeons. Even top-tier explorer mains sweat over these. Not only are they buried in the most unhinged locations, they demand insanely specific unlock conditions. The blue screen shifted, confirming his status sole survivor detected. 0 party members present. All access requirements checked out. Honestly, he thought these unlock rules were totally cracked. Think about it inside a massive raid zone. You have to track down a hidden back door entirely solo, with requirements that toxic, even stumbling upon the entrance is usually a massive waste of time. Another prompt materialized, breaking down the specs: Black Goblin, Shaman Refuge, Rank Hero, Type Secret Dungeon, Format Solo Boss. Lore drop whispers used to drift around Raven, about an ultra-rare black-skinned goblin sparking massive urban legends. Player cap exactly 1. Entry requirement: be the pioneer. Beat it, and the zone deletes itself forever. Choke, and you are permanently locked out. High stakes only. A hero-tier dungeon, say less, he absolutely had to clear this. Crossing the threshold, he remembered a famous quote from Freed, the guy sitting at rank 1279 on the God of Savior leaderboards. Freed always warned that plunging into a secret dungeon was literally like shoving your own head into a monster's open jaws. It sounded a bit dramatic, but every single veteran who had survived one of these hidden zones backed Freed up 100%. Because what happens when you dangle yourself like bait? Those fangs snap shut instantly. This place was exactly that, a gaping invisible trap waiting for a fresh victim. The second he materialized past the gate, the system blasted a warning. Hostile territory entered. Taking any direct aggro here would infect him, with a nasty shadow vision debuff. And getting hit with that blind would crush his sightlines to pitch black. But, flex moment, his raw hero stat passively blocked all mental corruption. Shadow vision totally negated. Flashing a wicked smirk, our boy muttered, "Now that is what I call a welcoming committee." Sitting dead ahead on a jagged throne was the boss, Black Shaman Jihad, who hissed, "You dare trespass in my sanctuary? Have you lost your mind?" The room was absolutely swarming with freakish mobs, ranging from pitch-black goblins to decaying undead spiders. The shaman grinned maliciously, taunting that our MC looked totally paralyzed with dread after staring down his twisted children. The boss interface booted up. Target Jihad, title Heroic Tier Overlord, species Goblin, traits Mutant Factor, Master Cursor, Necromancer, Deceptive, Sleight of Hand, lore, the last breathing remnant of a wiped-out bloodline. Jihad, heir to an ancient lineage, a freakish goblin who had survived for literal centuries. Our hero's eyes widened. Wait, unnamed boss. Secret missions were already notoriously brutal, but fighting a named entity was next level insane. Back when he slaughtered that dragon, the loot drop was absolutely godly. What kind of insane gear was waiting for him now? The shaman tilted his head. Something feels off. How did a pest like you breach my vault? You do not reek of an explorer. He sensed a chaotic, massive blend of mixed energies radiating from the boy. What a fascinating little anomaly you are. The MC raised an eyebrow, genuinely shocked that a crusty goblin had such a cracked radar. Jihad chuckled, calling him a rare specimen, but warned him crossing this threshold meant an absolute death sentence. No way out. With a flick of his wrist, the shaman commanded his horde to swarm. Our guy just smirked. "Bro, are you not even a little stressed? Pro tip. If you are a squishy ranged caster fighting a melee, may never let your guard down. He instantly popped his backstab skill and literally teleported right behind the throne. Panicking, the boss desperately spammed his corpse control magic to peel him off. Funneling a ghastly spirit, he triggered a point-blank corpse explosion, detonating the area in a massive blast of dark magic. But in a total cinematic plot twist, the MC perfectly sidestepped. The blast materialized right beside him and buried his dagger deep into the goblin's flesh, stacking a nasty bleed effect. Coughing up blood, Jihad gasped in pure horror. "How did you move that fast?" The MC just twisted the blade, grinning. "Did I startle you?" He warned him to stay on high alert. The goblin went absolutely feral, launching a barrage of rotting corpses right at him while screaming that it was time to see how long he could survive this hell. Our guy effortlessly weaved through the terrifying onslaught, his mind racing, tracking the monster's vision, predicting the crosshairs, pinpointing the exact strike zone, and unraveling the whole twisted scheme. Frustrated by the total miss, Jihad pulled out the big guns, the absolute peak of necromancy, the great corpse explosion triggering a massive earth-shattering blast. When the smoke cleared, the boss flashed a wicked grin, flexing his newly restored flesh and declaring it was time to stretch his muscles. Big mistake, he basically just signed his own death warrant. Our boy blitzed toward him like a lightning bolt and smashed a brutal right hook straight into his face, mocking him. "What is your skill on cooldown?" The massive impact sent the boss rocketing, where he shrieked that he was going to make him pay dearly. But our hero didn't stop unleashing an absolute combo of devastating punches. Completely pulverized, Jihad cried out, whining that his bones were broken and hitting bones was totally against the rules. The MC literally paused, staring at him in disbelief. Was this final boss seriously throwing a tantrum? Sure, that massive explosion was wild, but this guy was straight up pathetic. Sensing an opening, the cowardly goblin leaped backwards, smirking as he claimed he was just bait. Suddenly, a glowing blue system window popped up, flashing a heavy warning that the secret dungeon boss was actively triggering his genetic factor stat. The second Jihad finished the cast, his overall rank was going to skyrocket. The MC realized that even though this creep felt like a total joke, a jump from Hero Class to Hero Plus would turn this into a nightmare. Let's be real, taking down a Hero Plus boss required a heavily stacked raid team, and there was zero chance he was letting that upgrade happen. He gripped his blade tightly and exploded forward with blinding speed. Pumping a massive 20 points straight into his strength stat, he briefly wondered if he was min-maxing a little too hard. But hey, in this brutal world, everybody is totally equal. Once they are staring down the edge of a blade, glowing system alerts flooded his vision, confirming that his stacked rage buff was officially active, boosting his overall damage output against the boss by a solid 10%. On top of that, his elite sword mastery tacked on another 10% damage spike. Closing the gap in an instant, our guy unleashed a phenomenally heavy slash, instantly executing the monster. A triumphant system notification flashed, declaring that the hidden dungeon's overlord had officially been wiped out. The uncharted dungeon was perfectly cleared, permanently engraving the epic feat into the adventure log. Since he secured the world's very first clear on this secret zone, his loot pool got heavily multiplied, and he immediately leveled up. Checking his insane completion drops, he found the Black Goblin Shaman's Orb of Restless Souls, a top-tier universal catalyst, completely overflowing with the twisted essence of a dark shaman. Tagged as a hero rank artifact, it demanded level 30, strictly locking access to the Necromancer Shaman and Mage classes. Next up was the Black Goblin Shaman's Robe, a pitch-black cloak straight off the boss. This crazy gear actually held a built-in shape-shifting spell, giving the wearer the ultimate power to effortlessly mask their true identity. Hero, rank level 30, requirement 0 class limits. Its special passive. Just flipping up the hood instantly triggers the stealthy shape-shifting mode. The MC was absolutely hyped, admitting that hero rank drops hit totally different. These rewards were incredibly cracked. Snagging a legendary orb alongside a full-blown armor piece was completely off his bingo card. The stats were a little quirky, but they were definitely going to be super clutch down the line. Digging deeper, he stumbled across something called the Trace of a Forgotten Clan, a bizarre item with a totally glitched rank. Our protagonist quickly realized that it looked exactly like the mystery loot drops found in Demrock. Whatever, he would crack that puzzle whenever it became relevant. He also pulled a completely blank, unappraised card. It honestly blew his mind that the God of Savior system leaned so heavily into card mechanics, branching way past just basic skill trees and weapon buffs. Even the most terrifying bosses locked in the adventure log literally dropped as collectible cards. Figuring a monster drop was probably just basic upgrade fodder or some raw enchantment material, he flipped the card over, only to reveal a genuine Jihad unit card. Ranked directly at hero tier, the flavor text confirmed it actually trapped the very soul of the Dark Goblin Shaman. The MC was totally shook. Did he seriously just pull a personal guardian? True to the lore, guardians are absolute loyalists, bound to enforce their master's every command. You usually see them as a pyromancer's fiery salamander or some cracked alchemist's iron golem. He admitted this pull was a massive win, obviously, but unless you were rolling with a literal mythical beast, like the epic dragon or celestial tiger, that one overpowered old guy flexed. Standard guardians basically just drain your wallet and end up being totally useless. Still, the MC popped the summon, and a tiny level 1 version of Jihad materialized right beside him. Spotting his killer, the little goblin freaked out, screeching in pure terror, demanding to know why he was trapped there. Our guy just stood there, baffled, thinking what kind of sick joke is this? Whenever anyone else got a guardian, they looked incredibly badass and packed insane firepower. But him, he rolled a pathetic goblin that literally just threw pity parties. Out of morbid curiosity, he checked its stats, cowardice before the strong and opportunist, seriously. Suddenly, another system prompt popped up, flashing a red alert that his new pet's loyalty gauge was at rock bottom, thanks to those toxic traits. And with loyalty, this trash the rat could literally backstab him at any second. The MC felt completely trolled by the system. Seeing the goblin's shady vibe, he knew he had to set boundaries immediately. He started stepping aggressively toward making the goblin panic and squeal, begging to know what this absolute psycho wanted. He frantically cried out, "Wait, did this little rat just call his literal master, man?" That disrespectful attitude was completely getting shut down instantly, and this goblin was about to catch hands on it. Time to dish out some serious discipline. Our MC unleashed a ruthless beatdown on his newly acquired guard, and incredibly the guy's loyalty stat actually skyrocketed. Fast forward to reality. He popped his VR capsule open, dragged his exhausted body into the kitchen, and begged for some grub. His sister flatly shot him down, claiming she hadn't saved him a single crumb. A wave of irrational panic hit the MC, terrified he'd never lay eyes on her again. Crashing onto the sofa right next to her, he asked about their mom's whereabouts. She casually mumbled that she was stuck in a meeting. Peeking at her glowing screen, the protagonist asked what had her so hooked. When she casually dropped the name God of Savior, his jaw hit the floor. Wait, she gamed too? She rolled her eyes, pointing out that literally everyone and their mother was grinding that game right now. Oh, and she was already sitting pretty at level 71. Utterly stunned, our MC pressed her, wondering how long she'd been grinding to hit that milestone. She casually shrugged, mentioning she'd been logging hours for roughly 6 months. A buddy had sworn to hard carry her through the early stages, but she ended up completely addicted. Completely mind-blown, he blurted out. Wait, does pushing level 70 seriously take half a year? The girl fired right back, roasting him by pointing out she didn't know. Life the game for 10 hours straight, like a certain someone. Right on cue, a flashy broadcast about the Heroes Guild blasted across the TV. His sister immediately hyped them up, crowning them the absolute fan, dominating the Gen Z scene. They were practically pulling the same insane numbers as the legendary Exterminator crew. Scratching his head, our boy questioned the hype, like they didn't even crack the global top 10. She laid down the brutal truth. It was pure visual privilege. Sure, the gamer bros worshipped Exterminator, but the fangirls were absolutely feral for the heroes. Scanning the disgustingly handsome player on the screen, our MC scoffed, grumbling that the guy was way too pretty. His sister ruthlessly clapped back. Bro, have you looked in a mirror? That dude is literal perfection, and you're not even in the same universe. Swallowing the insult, the MC bitterly thought to himself that she looked like a straight-up. Bouncing off the cushions, he announced he was heading back to the grind. His sister muttered that with a face card like that, no wonder the guy was pulling insane numbers on streaming platforms. Literally every major guild runs a channel, now, she explained, and their uploads easily shatter the 100 million view mark. The protagonist practically choked. Wait, millions. With traffic like that, they're absolutely swimming in cash. The girl nodded slowly, a bit overwhelmed herself, dropping the bombshell that rumors pinned their earnings at a cool 1 billion. His brain short-circuited. How many buckets of fried chicken could that even buy? Catching his crazed, drooling expression, his sister freaked out, demanding, "Yo, what is wrong with you?" Our boy just robotically mumbled the insane payout, stumbling out of the living room like a zombie. Fast forward, he strapped back into the VR world, deciding it was time to hit the record button. Might as well bank some footage for the future, he figured. Just then, his newly tamed goblin shuffled over awkwardly, asking if the boss had finally logged back in. The MC narrowed his eyes, wondering if this little monster was getting way too comfortable. Sensing the danger, Jihad waved his green hands in absolute terror, squeaking out a frantic apology. The minion could address him however he wanted. Tossing over a spare robe, he ordered the creature to gear up since our guy couldn't even equip the item yet himself. Plus, the green guy desperately needed some actual threads. But instantly, a glowing system prompt flashed, warning that Jihad's loyalty had just plummeted by 2 points. Flashing an incredibly cheeky grin, the goblin joked that since his master had gifted him clothes, he was finally a free elf. Our boy's aura instantly turned pitch black. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" he growled. Terrified, the goblin backpedaled at light speed, violently bowing and stuttering that it was just a prank. Ding, another translucent window popped up, signaling that the little guy's loyalty had spiked back up by 2 points. The MC face-palmed, realizing this minion's loyalty gauge was bouncing around like a broken yo-yo. Snuggling into his oversized robe, Jihad peeked up, asking what the grand master plan was. Flashing a downright villainous grin, the MC declared it was time for a hardcore leveling grind. A quick the duo stormed the dark woods, unleashing absolute carnage on the local monster population, slaughtering swarms of rival goblins and massive spiders. Staring blankly at the mangled bodies of his literal cousins, Jihad mentally poured one out for his fallen brethren. What kind of twisted karma led them straight into the clutches of this absolute psycho? Snapping him out of it, the protagonist commanding his minion to sweep up the shiny loot drops and immediately resurrect the fresh corpses into undead slaves. Jihad swallowed hard, nodding rapidly as he channeled the dark magic. The interface lit up with a shiny success notification. The Guardian had flawlessly mutated the forest red goblin into a rotting zombie. After ripping 3 different souls back from the afterlife, the goblin proudly announced his undead squad was primed and ready. Sure, his ultimate goal was commanding a massive Necromancer legion, but 3 was his hard cap for now. Still, the MC was thoroughly hyped, realizing this terrifying ability was going to completely break the game later. Without warning, Jihad flicked his wrist, commanding the zombified goblins to march straight off into the dense brush. Completely thrown off, our guy demanded to know where the heck his new meat shields were wandering off to. His guardian casually explained he'd deployed them on an auto-looting mission. The MC smirked, amazed this guy was already delegating the absolute worst grunt work. Kicking back on a massive shattered log, he casually mentioned that, no matter what, once he crushed 2 more levels, he was absolutely itching to brawl with an elite-tier monster. Jihad's ears perked up, dropping the bomb that if the boss was hunting elites, he knew exactly where to track them down. Apparently, those lazy mini-bosses always camped the exact same spawn point. Leaning forward with a devious bloodthirst, our MC whispered, "So you were telling me they're practically begging to be